Hello, people of the internet. I am Kaiju Noir, and welcome to another episode of the Sons of Serizawa podcast. Unfortunately, Bill is not here, but fortunately, depending on how you look at it, I am once again in charge. So here with me today is David Joshua Hernandez by his trusty smartphone.
Technically, it's an iPhone, but close enough.
It is a smartphone, David.
Is it?
Fucking David. And also with me is the one and only Dylan McCann. Sorry, my voice is going out there for a sec. The one and only Dylan McCandless.
I hope I'm the only Dylan McCandless. I'd have to kill the other one. There can only be one.
Right. And much like Kevin Smith's guest directing episode of The Flash, in which he brought on Jason Mewes, I too brought a guest for this particular episode. Introducing for the first time in 2016, the Kaiju Maker himself, Jacob Baker.
Greetings, denizens of the interwebs.
So I did want to start off this podcast by saying, how the fuck have you been, Jacob? It feels like forever since we last spoke to each other, and it's been forever since you've been a part of this podcast.
Yeah, it's been quite a while. Even longer since I've talked to Dylan.
Yes, it has been a while.
Yes, I don't know, things have been like 50-50 for me. It's been like a lot of real crap moments and then a lot of like really awesome, cool moments, which maybe I'll touch on later in the podcast, but we'll see how it goes. So right now I'm doing pretty good though.
No, I think it's been so long since it's been so long since you've been on this podcast. I think the last time you've been on this podcast was when we still had 5 members on this show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which kind of surprisingly and now kind of feels like it kind of feels a bit like it's been like forever since that happened. I don't know what
well,
you
I'm
guys
sorry
think.
that I'm here to bring back all those terrible memories.
No, it's all right, man. like whatever, like anything that happens in life, you just got to move forward. So I do want to ask Jacob, what exactly have you been working on? Since you every once in a while you would show up on Facebook and you would tease new interesting projects, especially one concerning a particular friend to all children.
Yes. Well, there's actually 3 things that I can actually talk about. One of them I'm actually forced to talk about because I have an agreement. First, I'm actually helping work on a music video, and I'm actually getting to create practical effects work for this music video. I can't say who just yet, but I am actually doing things for a music video.
Nice. It's about time you finally got some commissioned work.
Is the person famous or popular?
No, not yet anyway.
An up-and-comer?
He's, yes, very much an up-and-comer. His music is really quite fantastic. I would tell you who he is, but I don't think I'm contractually allowed to.
Okay.
But aside from working on the music video, or music videos, because we've got several planned out, I'm also working on a film, actual like feature-length film as a tribute to 80s monster movies. And that one's actually it was scripted and it's going to be directed by Rock Baker. I don't know how many like of the listeners actually are familiar with comic books, but there's a brand of comic called AC Comics, and Rock Baker, who is my brother, he came up with the comic book character Dinosaur Girl, who, as the name implies, she fights dinosaurs and kaiju and robots and just all the kind of stuff that we're into.
Sounds like a woman after my own heart.
Yes. I mean, the film's not going to be about her, unfortunately, but we're actually putting together this film, and that's something that we're going to be working on. Now, the Gamera thing, I'm so glad I get to talk about this now, because this is another thing where they're like, you really need to talk about this and make sure word gets out, and didn't know how to, and this is the perfect format to announce it. A while back, I had discussed doing GXG, and I had to scrap the project for a lot of reasons. Well, I actually got permission at G-Fest to actually film the final sequence with Godzilla and Gamera. So it's not going to be the entire feature film, but at next year's G-Fest, not the upcoming one, but the one for 2017.
Okay.
We are actually going to be filming this fight scene between Godzilla and Gamera.
Uh-huh.
And then to like forego all the difficulties like we encountered with Death Game. All of the footage and everything is going to be handed over to me for me to edit and choose, and then I get to like select the compositors and the editors and everyone else required, and then we can actually make this the vision that I had in mind for the greatest battle of all time.
Nice,
so,
nice. So
yes,
you're gonna have creative control over this.
Oh yes, this is 100% my baby.
Because
the only thing I am not in control of is the design for Godzilla, but the Godzilla design, it's being handled by Christopher Biola, whom like regular or past G-Fest attendees might remember. He did the Final Wars Gigan and the Final Wars Angulus that showed up in Billy Bose's Godzilla Battle Royale.
Right, I remember those.
Nice.
Yeah, they were definitely some of the better. There was definitely among the better suits in that film.
Yes,
and of course yours are the best.
Well, we're working very closely on this because he's come to me for advice, and I'm giving him all of my knowledge, and he's actually building his Godzilla the way that we build our suits. And
nice.
He has gotten extremely good at detail work. His Godzilla design and the maquette that he built, it completely surpasses Hyper Godzilla in every conceivable way. So the Godzilla is going to be just this really awesome thing. And for those of you who've been on like my Facebook to see the sketch that I did for the Gamera, I'm proud of that design because to me it's a cool design.
Oh yeah,
we actually get to see these two like maybe not movie quality costumes, but these very highly detailed costumes of these two characters actually duking it out. So this battle we've been waiting for over 60 years to see, we're going to see it finally.
Excellent. I can't wait to see the people at G-Fest check out your latest project. What was your biggest inspiration behind your vision of Gamera?
Well, I wanted a Gamera that really harkened back to the 90s trilogy because I think every Gamera fan out there can really attest that was like the best in the best sections of Gamera films.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But I also wanted to like blend in a lot of elements that I thought just made him look more, maybe not aggressive, but a lot more like, I really don't know how to describe it. His design is very armor-plated, more so armor-plated than typical, and he's got a lot more protrusions. Like, if you notice the sketch of the arms, he's got the spikes from Gamera 2, and he's also got the forearm spikes from Gamera the Brave, the first Gamera in that film.
Right.
So he's very much a combatant. He's designed specifically to look like something that can go in and just tear the crap out of whatever he's going against.
Right, so he's just as equally an offensive fighter than just strictly a defensive fighter.
Right.
All right, awesome. And have you seen the proposed design that the other individual has for Godzilla? Does it look like more of an original take on Godzilla, or does it look like more of, is it trying to harken back to a previous design?
He did what I did with Hyper Godzilla. I actually call it Hyper Godzilla's little brother because it's an amalgam of his favorite aspects of the different suits, but he's also tossing in his own influences. And at the moment, he sort of has a Godzilla 2000 vibe to him when just the head.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the overall suit, he's still recognizable as Godzilla, but he also adds in some influences that I've seen other people do for their concept art, and he's actually doing that with his design. And, I mean, I am super impressed by the design. And it's kind of hard to really impress me. And he's managed to do it in spades. I mean, it's just fantastic.
All right, awesome. That's very reassuring. Do you think you'll be able to make a complete film, or have this just be extended action sequence?
It is just going to be one massive fight scene because I was, like, remembering all the difficulties of trying to, like, just trying to match up the human stuff with the monster stuff and didn't really work.
Right.
And thinking about it, when people watch Godzilla and Gamera fight, they don't really care about humans. They just want to see these two finally fight. So that was my whole outlook on this was, how do you make these two fight? How do you make it visually impressive where they're not just slapping each other? And how do you just make this like the most visceral, raw fight of all time?
I have some ideas.
I had plenty too. I can't discuss it because I would give something away. So
Right. Did you ever look at this one project that Chris Elchison did, where he made his own little like Godzilla versus Gamera fight sequence?
you're talking about the sequence from Kaiju Killer?
Not. Yeah. He's the guy behind Kaiju Killer, but
Yeah, I know who he is, but
Oh yeah, 'cause I think a while ago he posted on YouTube, or maybe it was Daily Motion, of his like Godzilla and Gamera actually duking it out, which is a sequence that was never shown in Kaiju Killer.
oh no, I have not seen that.
Okay, if I can track it down, I'll be sure to send it to you after the podcast. So let's see, anything else that I wanted to cover? Do you think that in the future, if you were to have the resources, you'd be able to extend GXG into a full-featured movie with actors and such? Like take that fight sequence and just build a movie around it?
If I could, I would, but that would require the suits to still exist, and we're going to get pretty rough with these things, so I don't know what kind of condition they'll be in afterwards.
Right. Okay.
But if the suits are still in good condition and I can actually get the resources to build like the Baggin and Garrasharp and the plethora of other monsters I want there as cannon fodder,
Yeah.
I would love to, but realistically, I would say that just this will have to do for now.
Okay. And let's see, Dylan, David, do either of you have questions for Jacob's project?
I have a question that doesn't pertain to his project. So before I do that, if y'all have any more questions that do pertain to his project, go ahead.
David?
I actually came in late. When I said I'll be right back multiple times.
Yeah.
Typical David.
Fucking
Vegan.
feed.
I forgot to take a piss before we started.
Or were you drinking too much out of your teeny little soda baggie?
It wasn't
You're right.
teeny. It was a
I don't know
big
if you
ass
know
American bottle.
I don't know if you know this, David, but you're a fucking David.
Well, what I feel like that's going to catch on with our listeners now.
Of all the individuals who ever try to out David, you are the most David of all Davids, David.
Probably not David. Let's not kid ourselves. We don't have listeners. Do. No.
We're just a bunch of sad individuals who we're the only ones who can find comfort, and we just attempt to just try to make ourselves feel less lonely in this big, wide internet of ours.
By making Bill the memes of jokes.
Or you in this case.
Well, that's your
Or
life
this-
mission.
Well, my mission was to create a new terminology involving Bill. Like you guys saw the phrase that I used, Bill attack. Imagine a panic attack, but with
Yes.
but Bill, but if Bill, lost his McDouble or something.
That's probably what Bill is doing right now, since he's currently working like an extra shift managing Carvel.
That poor son of a bitch.
He's like, oh god, these people, why are they asking me questions? I can't do this.
I imagine a Bill attack involving a bunch of pretzels, giant pretzels.
No, that's a movie idea right there. I will personally finance this. Make it animated if I have to.
I will finance.
Nice.
You see that?
I appreciate-
That was
I
a
appreciate-
fun I did there.
I appreciated that joke. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. I guess. Let's see. So, David, you said so. Do you or do you not have a question for Jacob's Godzilla vs. Gamera short film?
Really, Godzilla vs. Gamera?
Yes, that's the thing we're talking about.
Well, I thought you guys were talking about like a retrospective of Godzilla vs. Kaiju Killer.
No. I was just bringing up Godzilla vs. Kaiju Killer because Chris Elchison himself worked on his own Godzilla vs. Gamera project.
I'm pretty sure whatever questions I have, you guys might have already answered.
Okay.
Mainly concerning the fight scenes. It's not going to be like the final fight choreography in Revenge of Iris, will it? Where the suits seem to be like all slow and carefully
Carefully like tap dance, carefully like dancing around the buildings or whatever.
Oh no, these two, it's a very down and dirty fight. They're always doing something like
Mhm.
it's not just they're tangling, they're going at each other as if animals would go at each other. Like very pissed off, aggressive psycho killer animals.
So this is like super like Ultraman, like Showa Ultraman, Showa Godzilla, down and dirty type of choreography we're dealing with.
Okay, if Ryuhei Kitamura had done the kaiju fight scenes more like versus than he did in Final Wars, think that.
Okay, so they're not gonna last like 30 seconds.
No, it's like
It's not gonna be composed of Godzilla throwing Gamera into a building and calling it a day.
no, it's actually going to be like this 12-minute just
That would
full-on
be the
slobber
biggest.
knocker.
That would be the biggest fuck you I've ever seen in my entire life. Godzilla versus Gamera, and then he just like rips Gamera's heads off, and then or head off. I said heads. That was weird, and it was the whole end of the movie.
With the song "We're All to Blame" playing in the background.
Which I briefly considered using and then thought, no, that's too stupid.
Oh boy. Well, damn it! I had something on my head that I want at the top of my head, top of my tongue. I wanted to say, but oh well. So
Please get Ryuhei Kitamura if you can.
but then
I don't have that kind of pull.
He'll try to take over Jacob's project. We can't have Jacob going through that again.
Yeah, once is enough, please.
Yeah. For those who want to know the true story behind G-Fanta's death game, check out my second annual Halloween's Shoe Watch special.
Part
Plug,
2.
plug. Part 2. Plug. Okay, so let's see. Oh yeah, so Dylan, you had a question?
Yes, this is not related to your projects. However, it is a question that I think bears asking you, since you're the suit guy among us, and you know a lot about suits. You might have an interesting opinion here. I think we've all put our opinions on this matter on the table. What you think of that Shin Gojira, man?
Oh yeah.
Honestly, I really like it. I mean, seeing the full body maquette, seeing how they did the feet, I'm not 100% sold on the feet just yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the overall design and how it like how Bill put it, where it looks like they based it off of the puppet and the concept art as opposed to the original suit.
Mm-hmm.
I very much get that vibe and agree to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of like it because of that. I mean, the arms took me a while to get used to because, yeah, they're ridiculously small.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the anatomy of animals,
Mm-hmm.
the forearms of animals are generally not that meaty.
Mm-hmm.
So logistically, his arms do make sense.
Especially if you compare it to other theropods.
Yeah.
And
So
the fact that Godzilla was inspired by a Tyrannosaurus, wasn't it?
Yeah.
yeah, it was like a Tyrannosaurus, Stegosaurus, and Iguanodon that they put together.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, the only thing that just really threw me for a loop that I saw in the trailer anyway
Mm-hmm.
was just how freaking floaty his tail is.
Hmm.
He looks
Oh,
like he's
yeah.
got one of those wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube men stuck to his butt. Because that tail is
Yeah.
all up in the air.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's kind of
the-
neat to look at, but you look at the size of his feet,
Mm-hmm.
and he would fall over so fast.
Does the length of the tail take you by surprise at all? Because I thought it was incredibly long.
Not so much, because in Godzilla versus Space Godzilla, if his tail is stupid long in that one,
Mm-hmm.
and I've my favorite kaiju of all time is King, and his tail is ridiculously long too. So I kind of like it because it's like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just the only thing pertaining to the tail I don't care for is the very tip of the tail, because I can't figure out what in the hell that's supposed to be.
Right, it looks like something it's so specifically different from the rest of the tail. You're like, there's something has to be special about that tail for it to look so different from the rest of the other segments.
Yeah, and I have to agree with Billy DeBose on the tail, because we were discussing it last time he
Oh.
called it. He said it looks like they stuck a Megaguirus back on the tip of his tail.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was reflecting on the design, that's exactly what it looks like. It looks like Megaguirus flew into his tail, got stuck, and now he's there.
Okay. So what did do you happen to know what Billy DeBose's overall opinions on the suit? For those who don't know, Billy DeBose was the director behind the Godzilla Battle Royale fan film.
If memory serves right, he's okay with the design. There's a few elements I can't remember specifically what they were,
Mm-hmm.
But, he's like me. We're both... There's elements to the design we kind of question, but since all we saw was a minute and a half trailer, we're reserving our judgment until we see, like, the actual thing.
Yeah, I think that's ultimately where we're all coming down on it at the end of the day. Is
So
there's some things that we're not quite sure about, but it's all going to depend on the execution.
So there's one other like controversial piece of the suit that a lot of people have had opinions over that I want to know your opinion on: the eyes.
I like him. I mean, he's kind of derpy. I agree to that opinion, but I mean, something about his eye placement, I really kind of like it. I think it's because it looks like the puppet from the first film.
And from what August Ragone has discussed when it came to the actual suit itself, it's not going to be like, apparently from what I read from his statements, the suit itself is not going to be a traditional suit, but rather it's going to be some sort of creation that's going to be operated by a three-man team. Now, as someone who has built suits himself and someone who does a lot of research into suit making, how do you think this suit would be operated?
Honestly,
if we can call it a suit.
Well, I'm not really sure, because seeing him like in the full body shots where we actually get to see the length of his body and the legs, the legs, I don't know, there's something about them that looks too mechanical. They're not fluid enough to be human movement. It's going to be ironic that I say that and it turns out that it is human legs, but to me, it looks mechanical in the leg movement, and since his arms don't move at all, I mean, like his hand twitches, but that's it. If that is a suit, then the arms would have to be like cable control operated or just completely CGI.
So maybe the majority of the control mechanisms would have to be involving the head.
Yeah, well, if the head even is operated, because the only time we see the head move is like the beginning where it looks like a hand puppet.
Right, I had the same idea too, where it's like the head itself in that one shot moved so drastically different from the rest of the shots where it's very static.
Yeah, because he just looks like a statue more than anything, because the only things on him that actually move is his legs and the tail.
Let's see. Oh, one thing I did want to share in terms of the title itself, Shin Gojira. Ever since it was first announced that the name of the Japanese name of this new movie was going to be called Shin Godzilla, a lot of people have been speculating what Shin means, because there are certain words in the Japanese language that have a lot of different meanings. So people have said, oh, Shin could mean new Godzilla, true Godzilla, or God Godzilla. And the thing is, whenever a single word would have multiple meanings, they would have a different kanji symbol for each meaning. And so after discussing it with my Japanese-speaking friends and my students, the title Shin Gojira directly translates to new Godzilla. So the symbol used for Shin represents new. So it's not true Godzilla, it's not God Godzilla, it is simply new Godzilla.
Okay, well, is it actually like a direct sequel to the original, or is this supposed to be a brand new story that forgets everything before?
Judging by
that is the golden question, isn't it?
Judging by how often Shin is used in certain franchises, I want to say this could be an original thing for the most part. Just saying, oh, this is just a new Godzilla movie. Whether although we've had like New Cutie Honey, which I know you've seen, Jacob, which is a semi sequel to the original Cutie Honey. We had New Getter Robo, which is a completely like remake of adaptation of a new take on Getter Robo. We had what else that has had Shin?
Shin Kamen Rider.
Shin Kamen Rider, which that was an original take on Kamen Rider. What else? I want to say there was a Shin Fist of the North Star, which I believe was also its own thing and not a continuation of a previous adaptation of Fist of the North Star. Some of
the reboot of Evangelion movies had the word Shin in it.
Right, that's true. I think the Japanese title for those movies was, instead of Rebuild of Evangelion, it's just Shin Evangelion, and they're also like complete like remakes of it's a remake of the original series. So I want to say that Shin Gojira might as well just be just a new take on Godzilla with no connection to the past. It's just to us, it's just it is a new Godzilla movie, and so the title most likely will just reflect that fact.
I think it would be ironic if it actually turns out to be a sequel to GMK, and this is the Godzilla that grew out at the heart.
That would not be a bad idea.
It's not a terrible theory either, given the whole regeneration rumor that's been going around. That basically he's going to regenerate over the course of the film and not end up looking the way he does in the trailer.
Mm-hmm. Maybe if they ever do try to make it a sequel to maybe they might try to pull a Shin Getter-Robo, where it's like the Shin Getter-Robo anime, where in America it's called Getter-Robo Armageddon, where it's like a sequel to a non-existent story, where perhaps in this non-existent Godzilla story, it's this non-existent Godzilla movie, Godzilla died, but some time has passed, and now this new Godzilla has come back to life. So it's possible that this is not a direct sequel to the events of Godzilla Godzilla 54, but maybe this is some like alternate take on Godzilla 54, kind of similar to what they attempted to do with Megaguirus, in which that Godzilla never died.
That would be interesting. I would like a remake, but not really a remake of 54.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my god, that would make the tip of his tail make so much sense if it was actually like the Godzilla versus Megaguirus Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
Because of, Billy's observation that looking like Megaguirus stuck to his tail.
Yeah.
That's what happened. This is the Godzilla that came out of the black hole.
This in reality, this is the sequel to one of the worst Godzilla movies ever made.
I mean,
Hideaki Anno, you fucking genius, you.
If I can buy some Godzilla cells flying into a black hole and creating a totally separate kaiju, I can totally buy a Godzilla being stuck in a black hole and then coming out as this Lovecraftian nightmare that just ravages Japan.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so now I do want. Let's see. I do have quite a bit of news here. Actually, a lot of news, especially pertaining to giant monster-related projects. So I guess moving on from Shin Godzilla, I do want to talk about the other major Godzilla news, which was the fact that Godzilla 2, Radioactive Boogaloo, has been pushed from its original release date in 2018 to 2019, and B, its director, Gareth Edwards, has officially left the project this week. Or the announcement was made that he was leaving the project in the hopes that after Rogue One, a Star Wars story, he's going to go back to smaller scale projects. Very similar to Joss Whedon, how after Avengers Age of Ultron, he wanted to go back to more smaller projects after dealing with the stress of handling the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So what are your guys' thoughts on this new development, or lack of development?
I think John Carpenter should direct the sequel. Just because I want to see how John Carpenter would handle it.
So has John Carpenter worked on bigger budget movies recently, like George Miller has?
The last thing I remember him working on was The Ward. So I don't know what he's done since then.
Uh-huh.
And that was a fairly small scale film.
Mm-hmm. And your guys' opinions?
I'm disappointed because I really liked his take on Godzilla, but like I said on my Facebook, this might be good news because in the Toho Godzilla movies, they switched from Michiru Honda to Jun Fukuda, and especially in the Heisei series, they kept on switching directors. Mm-hmm. So that means that there's more room for variety for Legendary's film. Because this whole time I thought that Gareth Edwards was going to be attached to all the Godzilla films that Legendary was going to make.
Well, my concern there with them trying to find a new director is that Gareth Edwards solidified this universe, and anyone else who comes in has the right to alter the universe entirely. And if it's going to be a direct sequel to Gareth Edwards' film, they had the potential of making it not work as well
So it can go in the opposite direction. It can be just as detrimental as it could be beneficial.
Yes.
Okay. What was it? What I found kind of interesting was how this sort of thing happened exactly the way it did many years ago when after The Return of Godzilla came out in Japan in 1984, there was like a 5-year gap, at which point we eventually got a sequel in the form of Godzilla vs. Biollante in 1989 with a new director, new special effects director, and pretty much a complete like overhaul in terms of like the story and tone and characterization of Godzilla. So I find it very interesting that the same like setup, the same like in real life situation is happening all over again. It's like a poem. It rhymes.
My God, life finds a way.
So, like, even like you said, Jacob, a new director could come in and completely change things. But how would you guys feel if we had such a drastic change, such as the change between Return of Godzilla and Godzilla '84 and Biollante?
I wouldn't mind. I mean, it also has to like. Well, I don't think the director could completely change it, given that Legendary is so invested with this shared cinematic universe now. So I'm pretty sure they already have some things set up to like, you know, that lead into Godzilla versus Kong. So there's probably like these do's and don'ts rules that Legendary has already set up for whatever director that they're trying to court for.
Well, one of the things the only thing that really concerns me about it is that, Gareth Edwards made everything very scientific and made it plausible. And that's sort of what they did in Godzilla '84, Maser tanks aside. But whenever they did Godzilla versus Biollante, they introduced the spiritualistic aspect with having her soul being brought back in Biollante.
Right.
And that took it into a different sort of story branch, which when I originally saw Biollante, I absolutely hated it because it didn't flow because of that element. But over successive viewings, I like that film. You know, it's within my top 3 Godzilla films. So now I let that slide. But, you know, again, it doesn't really have that same feel because they brought in the more spiritualistic aspect. It's sort of like how in Godzilla versus the Thing, everything prior was like something natural or something brought up by mutation. And then here we have Mothra, this earth spirit, which completely goes against what Godzilla was in the beginning.
Yeah.
So
the difference being that in that case they sort of had to because they were inheriting Mothra from another movie, whereas in the case of Biollante, they could have not gone spiritual, but they chose to.
I still kind of question that decision of putting, what was her name, Erica, and putting like Erica's soul into Biollante. Like, it would have been cool if they made it like a more subtle thing where like, could it be, could it not be? But then they made it like so blatantly obvious where it's like, yeah.
The idea is sort of done, but differently and much better in like Iris, where like you have the like link between the girl and Iris.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but in that case you had Iris who was just controlled by a woman, not actually genetically part of her or spiritually part of her.
Yeah.
And it's like this thing where apparently in the Godzilla universe, if you share like the same DNA, apparently you're spiritually connected.
Imagine what happened to like Erica. She's up in like, you know, let's say an afterlife does exist, you know, 100%, especially in the Godzilla universe, where it's like Erica, she's up in heaven, and all of a sudden she gets like sucked right out of heaven. She's in Biollante's rose form. She's like, what the fuck?
All of a sudden she's a plant. And then she's like a half plant, half crocodile. She doesn't know what's going on.
She's like, God damn it, Dad.
I was having dinner with Gandhi, and the next thing I know, I'm stuck in this alligator plant with thousands of teeth.
Why would she even fight Godzilla at that point? Shouldn't her whole outlook on life be, kill me?
Maybe that's the case. Maybe she was just so shocked at realizing that she's in a monster body that she just has a panic attack and just attacks everything in sight in rage. She's like, oh my god, it's fucking Godzilla! What the fuck is going on?
That makes that whole plot point so much more interesting. If the reason Biollante was destroying things was anger over her dad not letting her rest in peace.
God damn, this is just typical dad. He can't just leave me alone for like 5 years, you know?
I want this movie now. I want to see this movie.
No, he's like,
I want this to be Biollante's actual dialogue too.
She is like the stereotypical like American, like spoiled brat. She's like, this is just so typical of dad, you know. I just die for like 5 seconds, and already he's bringing me back to life. I mean, god damn, dad, you have like control issues or something.
It would explain why they know English in Biollante. That very terrible English.
David, I don't think that constitutes knowing English.
What was it like? My life as a teenage kaiju.
I think using the phrase "they know English" is in this case overly so.
I mean, just because they can kind of sort of speak semi-English doesn't mean they actually know English.
Exactly.
Obviously, by the phrase "take that, you dinosaur."
Andre knows the language on a daily basis.
Yeah. What was that phrase that what was his name, Shiragami tried to say in English? It's like, we will have the nuclear project we will have it ready soon.
I don't remember.
I don't know who's.
All I
I don't
remember
know.
is that they have to stop the Japan.
We must stop the Japan from producing any more of that.
Are your Japanese students aware of the fact that their entire race is now referred to as the Japan?
Japan. Honestly, I often wonder how many of them are aware of that their country is called Japan when they themselves refer to their own country as Nihongo.
That's
Or
true.
no, Nippon. No, sorry, Nippon. Nippon is Japan. Nihongo is Japanese.
Well, that's why I'm
True.
confused.
I wonder
as
if
to,
people
like,
in España know that we call them Spain. Like, I wonder if other countries are aware of the fact that we disagree on what their land is called.
Everyone disagrees on what everything is called, and to be honest, I mean, like,
oh yeah, because I'm Native American and I fly off the handle at that phrase. I'm like, I'm an Indian.
so what do your people call America, Jacob?
The great land of casino. No.
Many moons spent building these great casino lands of ours before the white man came and took them to Vegas.
Or the land of many McDonald's.
They call it ours.
Yeah.
And the rest of us strongly disagree.
Yes. They used to call America our land.
Now they call it, hey, that's our land.
And we were like, no, it ain't.
Now we've got a plot the size of a parking lot. Oh, well.
Aw. Life sucks. But let's see. One last thing I did. Go ahead, David.
Wait a minute. That sounds like the title to Bill's autobiography.
Life sucks.
Life sucks. The Bill Wurster story.
I'm sure he would agree to that.
I hope he's listening to this.
He probably isn't.
We're so nice to each other on this podcast. You can just feel the love.
Can't you feel the love tonight?
That's one of the title of the chapters in Bill's book. Except it's dealing with him in a McDouble.
Can you smell the cheese tonight?
Oh my god! But David, wouldn't this be your story considering you worked at multiple McDonald's at this point?
True.
See,
but...
he's trying to offset his McDonald's like cred by passing it off on Bill.
You have more of a connection to McDonald's than any one of us. If anything, more Bill jokes should be associated towards ice cream.
Well,
true.
Here's the thing.
I demand ice cream related Bill jokes this instant. Go, Dave.
I got a few, but give me a couple days to like flesh them out completely.
Oh, I see. He's voted this guy.
I mean, can't you ice the cream tonight? Oh, that would sound just as sexual as it would be fattening.
Oh, that just sounds so dirty.
I know, right?
That sounds like Bill Saturday night.
It does sound dirty. That's what I love about it.
That's what Bill said to the ice cream too.
Sign my ass with ice cream.
There we go.
I don't know why. I don't know why he's so attracted
Sign
to
my
that ice
ass
cream.
with frosting and sprinkles.
I don't know why he's so attracted to that ice cream. Me and Andres tried it. I'd rather go to Dairy Queen anytime.
But I guess before moving on from Godzilla 2, Radioactive Boogaloo, I did want to bring up one thing that's been occurring on Toku Legion, where this is the same thing that happens. Like, whenever a new Godzilla movie comes up, everybody's kind of proposing the same, like, 5 to 10 directors every time a new Godzilla comes out. And now we have the director game again, now that Gareth Edwards is out. Although, to be honest, like, in all most likelihood, we're not going to get any of these directors that have been proposed to us by the fans. It's most likely going to be a new
Thank
guy.
God, because some of these suggestions are just goofy as shit. I'm sorry, but
I mean, let's not kid ourselves, okay? Like, J.J. Abrams, he's not going to be directing a Godzilla movie.
no.
Tim Burton, he's not going to be directing a Godzilla movie.
I don't know if I want him to.
James Cameron is not going to be directing a Godzilla movie.
What would be brilliant is if they actually got Shinji Higuchi to direct Godzilla 2. You know, the man responsible for making a Godzilla movie because he hated the legendary film makes the sequel.
And in that movie, he's gonna come up with some like cluster fuckery that allows both Godzillas to cross over into each other and cause fifth impact. And
I would watch it.
I will fix everything wrong with this movie.
I will fix it.
Did Hideaki Anno actually say he hated the legendary movie?
From what
I
I've
read
heard,
that
he is
somewhere, but
Imagine
then
like,
again, it could just be the ramblings.
I know how to fix Godzilla. I'll make him look like a bunch of hamburger meat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my god, he looks so delicious.
I know, like, what was it? Elchison on Facebook would often make the beef jerky joke with the Shin Godzilla.
It's not
Radioactive.
incorrect to make.
My correlation to the new Godzilla design was that he looks like a Goomba from the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Really?
Yeah, because the first photos
the
we got
movie.
were the side of the head.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Even some people made the same joke on Toku Legion.
Yeah. My brother pointed that out, and I'm like, my god, the only thing I can see now is a freaking Goomba.
If I had
Is that a better thing or a worse thing?
If I had a sound effect board, I would a sound effect board. I would be playing the Koopa like sound effects. Now all we need. Okay, he's like, quick! Like Godzilla's attacking. Quick! Somebody get an Italian plumber to jump on his head. Okay, so I guess
That's
like
the movie we need Godzilla versus Mario.
hell yeah.
Godzilla stomps into the Mushroom King. Mario eats a mushroom. Shit's on.
Next thing you know, like Bowser and Mario team up. It's like enemies become allies. And
Dude, Jacob, fuck this G versus G shit. This is the movie you gotta make, man.
And what's weird is I actually have a Bowser costume. Good to go.
See, there we go.
That's right. Shit.
Oh snap! Oh yeah, that reminded me that now I remember the thing I wanted to ask you, Jacob, before we went into Godzilla 2. How was I know like recently you've made costumes based off of certain Nintendo characters and have shown them off at a convention or two. How was that?
You mean the experience of building the costumes or the experience of taking them to a convention?
I guess both.
Well, the experience of building the costumes is sort of how it always goes. There was the moments where I was like, yes, I'm building this thing. And then there was the moments where I'm like, son of a bitch, I'm still working on this thing. And then actually taking it to the convention, it was actually... Okay, going to something other than G-Fest, since it's just so, like, kaiju specific, making something completely different for a convention that's more open to, like, anime, video game, what have you, it was kind of neat seeing the reactions from everyone to something that was more readily recognizable. because the Ganon costume got so much love there, and I'm really glad because that was the one costume I put so much effort into.
Oh yeah, it's definitely spectacular looking, and quite unlike a lot of quite unlike a lot of other like cosplaying outfits that you would see at conventions, where normally it's just like maybe like an armored suit or makeup job or spandex or maybe some like World of Warcraft fantasy or anime armor. Yet here it's like you created a complete creature suit, which I doubt there were any that you'd rarely find at a convention.
They pop up from time to time, but they are rare, and that's why I think people are attracted to my costumes so much, because I'm making things that are organic as opposed to just typical fabric and armor.
Right. And let's see. And what was some of the most memorable encounters you've had with the people who came across your suit?
The most memorable experience I had, and I wish I had gotten this guy's name, because I thought it was Bill, because he looked like Bill. I'm like, is that Bill? And he comes up and he's looking at the props and stuff I have set up, and we start talking, and we're both huge Legend of Zelda fans, so we like just had something to talk about, and I talked to him several times over the convention, and he had a Link costume.
I don't think it's Bill.
Do what?
You said he was a Legend of Zelda fan. I said I don't think it's Bill.
Yeah, it's not Bill.
Yeah. But I mean, well, he looked like he could at least be like a cousin. You know, the similarities were astounding in how much they looked alike.
Did this Link cosplayer wear his hat backwards?
He didn't have a hat. That's the one thing that gave him away is not Bill.
Let's see.
No, I mean, was he wearing the Link hat backwards?
That and the fact that he doesn't.
That's always backwards.
That and the fact that he didn't divide all of his fandom energy between Godzilla and like ice cream.
Well, and this guy was in the presence of a woman, so that sort of, you know.
Jacob just made a Bill diss on his own.
Sorry, Bill. I love you.
I just know it. This is going to be Bill's favorite episode.
Yes. Jacob loves Bill as much as Bill loves ice cream.
Damn.
I bet
like,
you.
That's some romantic shit you're proposing there, Andres.
Although I bet you that right now Bill is hating ice cream now more than ever.
I've never gotten a burn on anyone. I figured, why not Bill? He's not here to defend himself.
Yes, because that is how the internet works. You know, you try to attack others who are unable to defend themselves at that very moment.
I will gladly take any backlash because I deserve it.
All right. So let's see. Moving on a little bit to more giant monster-related news. In the last episode of the SOS, it was confirmed that the movie rights to Monster Apocalypse was being there were 4 movie studios that were competing for the movie rights to the strategy board game Monster Apocalypse, and now it has been confirmed that Warner Brothers has acquired said movie rights, and that's basically it. So now Warner Brothers is going to be producing a Monster Apocalypse movie, which is going to have a basic man and mech versus giant monster plot, and it's going to have the director of the Evil Dead remake behind it, and we talked about this a little bit before, but I find it kind of surprising that Warner Brothers is trying to acquire yet another giant monster property, seeing as how they already have both Godzilla and King Kong under their belt. So I'm kind of wondering what if they're up to something, if they're trying to gain like a monopoly on giant monster projects.
Why not? I mean, Disney seems to be trying to buy up everything else that's not tacked down.
Very true.
I just hope that this movie can do something original with the idea, because right now it just sounds like Pacific Rim without Del Toro.
Right.
Yeah.
And what was it? Speaking of Del Toro, of a Del Toro-less Pacific Rim, we also had more news that Pacific Rim 2 was confirmed a while ago that the showrunner of the Netflix Daredevil series was the new director of Pacific Rim 2, Maelstrom. And now it's confirmed that the writer of Jurassic World is attached to write said film. So how do you guys feel about that?
I mean,
Not
the writing,
much.
the writing was never Pacific Rim's strongest suit, so getting a new writer doesn't bother me. Hopefully, the only thing I'm hopeful of is that this new director can capture the same feeling that Del Toro had, because that was probably my favorite thing about that movie.
I would say that I'm very glad that the director behind Daredevil is attached to this project. However, I'm kind of concerned with the writer of Jurassic World, because as much as I enjoy that movie, I know many people had problems with it, and myself included, due to certain weaknesses in the script, especially when concerning the human villain of the film, played by Vincent D'Onofrio.
That is true that the Jurassic World's greatest strength is not its writing either. So I don't know. I mean, maybe that was a fluke, and this writer can like turn in something really great. I mean, we're just gonna have to wait and see, honestly.
Oh, and I just found out that the writer Derek Connolly, he's also attached in writing Kong Skull Island. And apparently he has something. He's kind of involved with Star Wars Episode 9 for 2019. Huh, according to Wikipedia, but then again, it's Wikipedia. But
yeah, apparently the guy who directed Jurassic World is going to be doing Episode 9, from what I heard.
So now it kind of makes sense that he would try to bring along a writer he previously worked with. Well, hopefully, if we do have someone as talented as the Daredevil guy attached to Pacific Rim 2, hopefully he would be able to make up for the writer's shortcoming if we were to see that quality in writing from Jurassic World carried over to Pacific Rim. Because we've often had directors who would save terribly written films from being terrible in the end.
Yeah, I've heard some screenwriters say that, like, you can't save a movie if the script is bad. And I'm like, yeah, you can. Don't try to make yourself more important than you really are. You can do it. It's a thing.
Yeah.
As long as we get to see some daytime battles, I'm fine with whatever they do.
Yeah, that is true. It would be nice to have some variety in the fights. Well, I mean, we had Mutavore versus Striker Eureka, but that was a very brief show.
That's true. There weren't any daytime fights in that movie, were there?
And for whatever reason, it was constantly raining throughout the whole film.
Yeah, it was
Like,
nighttime and raining.
Maybe if that was a plot point, like maybe if it had to have been a certain time of day for like the dimensional portal to work or something, then. But as it stands, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, although I guess you could make the assumption that having a rainy environment would make it easier for the CGI to blend in with the backgrounds, because A, it's darker, and B, the CG models can look shinier. Like they can have an excuse to look shiny.
Yeah, but they got to CG so many freaking raindrops that, you know.
Yeah, that is true.
That is definitely true that the CG looked great with the dark background. So if that was the whole reason that they did it, then I mean I understand, you know.
But yeah. So let's see. Anyways, moving on, we have here's another monster related development, and that is I think I may have talked about this a while ago, where it's been it's been a while since I last commented on Colossal Kaiju Combat, the crowd-funded giant monster video game that was being worked on by the people behind the Pipeworks and Atari Godzilla games from the early 2000s. And this was confirmed, I think, 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, that development on Kaiju Combat has come to a complete halt, due to many complications arising over the course of the video game's development. And from what Simon Strange, I guess the person behind the project, he made an announcement to the Kickstarter backers that, well, from what I can remember, from what I can recollect, the one of the head people behind the game, he unfortunately passed away, and because he wasn't able to finish his work, then certain other people, they weren't able to work they can't work off of his unfinished work. And a lot of the people who were scheduled to work on Kaiju Combat, they had a limited amount of time, a small window of time to work on the project. And so with them being unable to work on the game, they had to, exit from the game before they can finish their work. So I guess due to certain complications, those complications led to a domino effect where they led to more and more complications, leading for development on the game to stop for the time being. So it looks like the game is going to have to be delayed even more significantly than it has been in before. And at this point, I can't even remember when Kaiju Combat was initially crowdfunded. I want to say like 2012 or 2013. I honestly don't know, but seeing as how it's been so long since, well, like people have been waiting for that game for so long, I doubt we will be having anyone's even. I wonder if there are people who are like even like interested in the game at this point, like outside of the backers who have literally invested in that game. Yeah, it's a very like I don't know, very hazy situation we have here with that game. I mean, what are your guys' thoughts?
I mean, sucks.
Yeah.
I'm not really. I haven't been following it as closely as you have, Andres. So I don't really have a whole lot to say. But I mean, it looked interesting from what we saw, and I know there was some like very rough demo footage that people were playing at like one of the G-Fests that we went to.
Yeah, that alpha build is available on Steam right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything.
Well, I'm all for like any sort of like kaiju game, but I mean, its loss isn't that too big of a heartbreak to me because there's still like War of the Monsters and then the two King of the Monsters games from SNK. So we have other like non-licensed stuff to fill the void.
Yeah. And I guess even in terms of giant monster related projects, we still have a city shrouded in shadows that's coming out soon, which is that kind of like action semi-horror survival game where you play as an individual attempting to survive a giant monster attack. And it's been already confirmed that it's been confirmed that 3 of the licensed characters in the games are going to be Ultraman, Godzilla, and Eva Unit 1.
Neat.
This is the that game that's coming out in Japan, right?
Yeah.
Any word on if that's coming stateside, or are you hogging that all to yourself, you greedy bastard?
As far as I know, I'm going to be hogging that all to myself, because I'm a greedy bastard. Although, if it comes out, I'll be sure to send you guys a copy if you guys happen to have a PS3 with you.
God, no. I'm so behind on video games, it's not even fun.
Speaking of video games and giant robots and monsters, does anyone have a... Man, I wish I had the game right here. At VisionCon, I bought a Evangelion video game.
Is it that Super Smash Brothers fighting game?
I don't know because I don't have a console to play it.
Oh, okay.
And it's for like one of the Sega disk systems.
Ah.
But I bought it because I thought this will make an awesome gift for somebody, and then it just struck me that, wait a minute, what are the odds of someone actually having the console to actually play this game?
Was it like the Sega CD or something? The Sega 32X? Let's see.
I'm gonna have to go get the game. Give me a minute.
Yeah, sure. Meanwhile, I'm gonna bring up a list of Evangelion video games. Let's see. Evangelion games on a Sega console.
If anybody out there listening has the correct console, you can write Jacob at.
Let's see. There's Neon Genesis Evangelion First Impression for the Sega Saturn. Then there's Second Impression also for the Sega Saturn. Let's see. What's another one? There's a Neon Genesis Evangelion digital card library for the Sega Saturn. Huh.
Why not?
Yeah, sure. It's Japan. They can make as many spin-off games as they want.
Okay, I'm back. The 2 games that I bought, because apparently I bought 2 of them. The one you just mentioned, Digital Card Library. I have that. And the other one is Evangelion Second Impression.
Second Impression. Oh, okay. So it's that sequel to First Impression that I just read here. Let's see.
Interesting.
Let's see. Let's look at first impression, according to Wikipedia. The first Evangelion video game, released for the Sega Saturn in 1996, shortly after the TV series' run. The story is set after the episode Asuka Strikes, with Shinji badly injured and suffering amnesia as a result of an angel battle and needing to restrain by sparring with Asuka in Unit 2 and having to defeat the angel to regain his memories. The game features RPG elements and full-motion video clips for combat. Most of the animation is original to first impressions, with voices from the original Evangelion voice actors and some other content recycled from the TV series. Evangelion Second Impression, a Sega Saturn game that focuses mainly on Shinji and Mayumi Yamagishi, with RPG-style gaming and combat in the structure of an episode.
Now I feel like watching Evangelion.
And there's no information on Digital Card Library, but I'm going to try to look up some screenshots. Let's see. Anything on Google Images?
So basically what you're saying is they're video games.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are
Just
video
basically.
games, and they're gameplay. And
I
there
see.
are 90s era clips of the anime itself within the games.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Just what I might expect from an Evangelion game.
I have, so far I've only played one Evangelion game for the PSP. Let's see, let me try to find the title of it. But it's basically exactly like, in terms of gameplay style, it is essentially Smash Brothers, but with the angels and Evangelions to play as.
The only Evangelion game I've ever played is how many episodes of this can I watch without needing a break?
Oh, here we go. Evangelion Battle Orchestra. That was the name of the fighting game that I played for the PSP. It's not perfect. I mean, I guess it's just like the novelty is playing as the Angels and Avas are really fun, but the frame rate is a complete mess where it's like, depending on how much shit is going on screen, the frame rate would like lower significantly, making combos difficult to pull off. But they did included the Gunbuster mecha as a bonus character, which was fucking awesome. Oh, and Jet Alone, that was also cool. So let's see. I guess moving on from one video game news to another, it was announced that Disney was going to close down Disney Interactive, and as a result, they have decided to cancel all continuation on their Disney Infinity franchise. For those who don't know, Disney Infinity was like a series of 3 action, adventure, platforming video games that relied on the same gimmick that Skylanders had, where you purchase figurines of certain Disney characters. Later they added Marvel and Star Wars characters, and so you would use those figures and use them as playable characters within the video game. You can play story mode levels depending on what character is compatible with those story modes, and you can create your own levels, or you can play other people's levels. And I bought the game, the game last year, the one with the Star Wars characters, and I had a lot of fun with that game. It reminded me a lot of why everything I loved about Little Big Planet, where it's a game where you can play other people's levels, and which would lead to a lot of replay value and a lot of continuing content for you, new content to play with. And I also like the gimmick, and I thought that the art style used for the little figurines themselves was very cool, and very the quality themselves were great. So I'm kind of upset to see that Disney Infinity is no longer going to continue, but it means that I don't have to worry about a Disney Infinity 4.0 to come out, and for me to have to replace 3.0 with 4.0. I can just focus on 3.0 and get whatever stories, modes, or games I want for that particular version. So yeah, anybody have any sort of? I guess I doubt anyone here has played Disney Infinity, but does anyone else has any thoughts on the matter?
Why didn't Yu-Gi-Oh ever use a gimmick like this? What a wasted opportunity. How great it would have been back when that was a popular thing for me to just like take my deck, slap it on a computer screen, and have those monsters in a game.
Yeah, that would be cool. There was a PS3 game that attempted to do just that. It was called Eye of Judgment, where you would have like these monster cards, and the PlayStation Eye device would be placed on a stand where it would look over your field, and it would scan the cards and portray the monsters on screen, and would
Did
show
it work,
battle
or was it a
animations.
disaster?
The game works, and it is fun, in my opinion, but the game never caught on, so it never went beyond like the initial couple of starter packs and booster packs that they released for that first wave. It never went to... Go ahead.
Oh, do you guys remember? I have no idea what it's called or even how to find it, but there was like a game where you would scan barcodes, and whatever barcode you scanned would give you a different monster.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that.
what was that?
I have no idea. I just like had this vague recollection of like scanning a can of soup and then, oh, a monster.
I remember seeing the commercial for that.
Wasn't this like a Cartoon Network thing, or they at least like advertised it on there heavily?
Maybe they attempted to use the same technology, because I think a lot of people have also tried to... I think a lot of other companies attempt to do the whole barcode scanning gimmick. Let's see. I wonder if it happens hard to Google barcode scanning video
Monsters.
game. Monsters, yeah. Barcode scanners with a Z?
Oh, that sounds right. Yeah.
Scanners. Huh. Oh, yeah, that is definitely the device. I recognize that device from the commercials. I'll send
Not to be confused with the David Cronenberg film.
You imagine if you find the rare barcode, you will unlock Michael Ironside.
If that was a thing, I would buy that game just to try and unlock him.
Let's see. I'll look for. Yeah, I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you, David, through Facebook. Let's see. I'm trying to look for a year that it came out. I'm not looking. I'm not finding a year. But this looks very like early 2000s. I want to say.
My God. Nostalgia.
Yeah.
I never even played this game. I'm just remembering the commercial for the first time in probably like 12 years or something.
They look like, these ones in particular look like Digivices from Digimon.
Which in turn look like Tamagotchi.
Yeah. Funny how entertainment often like rips off each other. It's like entertainment would rip off this thing, which rip off from this thing, which would rip off from the original thing that started it all. Like everything comes full circle.
Just like music.
Yeah. It's like you got like Tamagotchi, and then you had Pokemon, and then you had like Digimon, which tried to do Tamagotchi and Pokemon, and then
Yeah, they tried to have cake and eat it too.
Yeah. The monsters themselves on the box art, they look very I don't know, like a bit Todd McFarlane-esque.
Yeah, that is one thing I remember is the visual styles of the monsters was kind of creepy.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like where the commercial aired, going back to what you asked, Dylan, it was either Cartoon Network or Fox that I saw the commercials on.
Okay, so
If that helps in any way.
I'm also sort of reminded of that, like, I forget what it was called, but there was an episode of Billy and Mandy where they had a Pokemon-esque game.
Pokemon.
Yeah, Pokemon, and at first the monsters were all, like, cute and cuddly, and then Grimm zapped them, and they turned into, like, these monstrosities.
Yeah, I remember that. That was always one of my favorite episodes to look back on. I'm surprised they haven't tried to do this concept for like the iPhone generation, given how popular it is to scan those. What do you call those code things that are like shaped like squares?
Oh, shit, what are those things called? I don't know, I'm
turning
turning into an old man. I can't keep up with technology anymore. Shit.
Yeah, I know, right? It's so frustrating. I can't remember what they're called. Oh, QR codes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I would never be able to remember that. But QR codes, I'm surprised there hasn't been like, maybe there already is, but we're just too old to pay attention to this. But I would like to see like something like scanners where you go around scanning like random QR codes, and you would find like monsters. You would collect monsters on your app, and then use those monsters to battle other people wirelessly through their iPhones. Although I think iPhone multiplayer, it hasn't been a thing so far, because most iPhone games tend to be like very like isolated from one another in terms of like single player experiences. Yeah, no, I don't think anyone has ever tried to do the Pokemon thing of that social aspect that Pokemon kind of like made popular back in the day. Although I could be wrong. All right,
I just remember this brief time in history where you could like bring Pokemon and or Yu-Gi-Oh cards to school and not get beaten the fuck up. Like it was a magical time in America.
I remember a time where you could take Pokemon cards to school and the teacher wouldn't take them away.
Yeah, unfortunately, when I grew old enough to bring Pokemon cards to school, my teachers never allowed it because it was just a rule, and it was one of those rules we just had to accept. I don't know, something about them promoting gambling or something.
I remember. Wow, that's the most fucking stupid white conservative reason I've ever heard in my entire life.
Oh sure, let's not have our children explore a game in which they are learning to use math in a practical manner.
Not only that, but you learn all kinds of useful skills like burn and cut. You know, those are things that can come in handy.
Especially poison.
Yeah, poison. I use that on my enemies all the time. Thanks, Pokemon.
You had something to say, David?
I don't know if you experienced this as a kid, Andres, but for some reason in the Latino community, for some reason the parents they saw things from Japan, mainly Pokemon and Digimon, as things that were satanic.
Definitely not. No one I knew thought it was satanic. I mean, I do know that like the Mexicans in my area are very like xenophobic, in which they will like turn on something that they just don't understand or is like completely foreign to them. But Pokemon was rather popular enough to where it's like Mexican kids were into Pokemon as much as any other ethnicity.
Right.
I'm just having a flashback to like one of my parents' friends. Like his little kid was like talking with me, and I had like I think it was like Budokai Tenkaichi 2. And
Wonderful.
he looked at that, and he's like, "Oh, that's a game of the devil." And I'm like, "Wait, what? Like this is my jam. What are you talking about?" And then his dad he's one of those people who's under the impression that any sort of anime is automatically evil.
Maybe because he probably grew up with the era where most anime that came to America were the very like hard R kind.
Oh,
probably.
Jacob, I know. We probably share a lot of these experiences in common since you live a state over from me. You just summed up the struggles of my childhood in one sentence. I remember the panic that erupted when Harry Potter became a thing.
I remember that.
Oh, it was awful. It's teaching kids how to cast spells, mix potions. I'm like, I don't think any of that shit is actually going to work. You guys, let's all calm down.
Is it any more outlandish than the kind of religious teachings that we would teach our children? I mean, a guy riding a broom is not all as isn't all so far fetched when you worship a guy who can walk on water.
Right. I mean,
and this is coming from a religious man myself, so don't think I'm audience don't think I'm just cruelly bashing religion.
It's just it was so awful. Like everything was satanic and evil. You couldn't do it. And I was like,
if I guarantee that my interest now, if I was like to talk about like the Obakemono in school because they're Japanese goblins, I guarantee you they would be like, he's studying devil stuff. I'm like, no.
He's talking in that there foreign language.
I
mentioned Hanuman one day, and it's like, guys, come on, it's foreign theology.
He's speaking them devil's tongues.
Oh, but Jacob, don't you know that foreign theology is the devil?
Yeah.
The devil.
I know. I live in a very conservative area too, but
isn't like what was that like one line from Tenacious D in The Pick of Destiny? Is like, the devil is around us. He's everywhere. He's even in us.
Iconic.
You don't need to find the devil. The devil is within you. Yeah. Although what's really funny is like to go back to like that evil, that perceived like evil depiction of anime in West and Eastern culture. It's very funny how it's like many people would back in the day would associate associate anime with very like disturbing image and adult imagery. Meanwhile, nowadays, most mainstream anime is now garnered towards like smaller kids and being as kawaii as possible.
Which is bizarre because I got into anime because it was so adult and different than what we had.
Right. That's what I love
Yeah.
about Attack on Titan is that it's not what Andres just described.
Right, yeah, nothing like that. And surprisingly, it does still have its popularity here in Japan, just not as popular as the kawaii stuff.
I mean, it was popular enough to get made into a movie over there. How often does that happen with anime, Andres? You're living there. You have a better idea.
Very true. I mean, you rarely see that stuff. I mean, all that stuff is generally eclipsed by the kawaii stuff. That stuff is way more prevalent than anything that you and I are, and any of us are into. But
No. Remind me again what kawaii is, because when you say that, I just picture Hawaii, and I know I'm like,
Kawaii means cute.
yeah, it means cute in general. And
oh yeah,
if
that's
some,
right.
or
This is
it
why
would mean-
this is why the Asians like freaked out when they saw BB-8 from Star Wars. Cause
Yeah, they're like, oh, kawaii! They would say, oh, that's cute, but cute in a cool way to them. To them, cute is cool.
See, there's nothing in English that means cute in a cool way. Like that's not a thing.
Yeah, I mean, if we were to look at Pikachu, we'd say, like, dude, that's fucking sick, or dude, that's so fucking cute right there. Look at that cute motherfucker right there. Look at that adorable electrical bastard.
Like if you turn to one of your friends and you say, "Yo, that's the cutest fucking thing I've ever seen." That's not just like a thing you say normally. That's like you bearing your soul to that other person.
Look how fucking cute this thing is. Look at this cute little fucker right here.
Reminds me of when we saw Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and I was just like, "Yo, that's the cutest fucking thing I've ever seen in my damn life."
In other words, kawaii. Only in a less high-pitched girly voice.
Well, there's also Sugoi, but doesn't that just mean awesome?
Sugoi means awesome in like a surprising, weird way, where it's like, that's something you didn't expect to see.
Yeah, I had always heard that phrase. I knew what it meant.
Yeah.
But I at the first G-Fest that I went to with the Hyper Godzilla, there was a woman working for a Japanese newspaper who was there covering some sort of government thing.
Yeah.
Because there was like a collection of like Japanese officials that were over there at the same time that just happened to be in the same building.
Nice.
And she was like asking about the Godzilla costume because when she saw it, she's like, "Is that for like a movie pitch or something?" I'm like, "Oh no, this is just a convention costume." And she went, "Oh, Sugoi," and I'm like, "Yes!"
You got the approval of the Japanese.
Yeah, I was like, I'm vindicated now, right?
Yeah, I've heard that word a lot when it would introduce myself to my adult students, where they'd be like, "Oh, sugoi," where it's like I would tell them that I'm interested in like tokusatsu stuff, because like they've never, to them, like the idea of like a foreigner who is interested in their own media is like surprising to them. They aren't aware of how popular their shit is in other countries. So to meet someone who knows words like tokusatsu and Kamen Rider and Ultraman and Gojira, they'd be like, "Ah, sugoi." But
How's the-
G-Fest would blow their minds.
yeah.
How's the popularity of the modern Kamen Rider shows there in Japan?
Oh, the Kamen Rider shows are they're way more popular than Ultraman, especially among little kids. The little kids, I would see them with Kamen Rider little like
That explains
keychains or whatever.
so much about that newer Kamen Rider show that we saw at G-Fest on the
Oh yeah. Turiga!
God, it was awful. clearly aimed at a younger audience.
Although from what I
Which is so surprising when you consider how fucking dark the original series is.
Yeah. Although from what I hear, like Kamen Rider W is like one of the good Heisei modern day Heisei Kamen Riders.
Not just W.
What was it like? Den-O, was that another generally considered good one?
I'm not sure because Kamen Rider Gaim was really, really good.
Oh yeah, I hear people that say that was good also.
But Kamen Rider Den-O was also really good. So was Kamen Rider O's. It depends.
Yeah.
I don't think there's one specific Heisei show that's like that outdoes the others. Because it's like, Sugoi the next show one ups the other.
Although from what I hear, like Drive and Fours and Magic weren't like as good as the ones we just mentioned.
Well, Drive was personally, I think it was decent. I haven't seen Wizard Magic Wizard.
Sorry, yeah, Wizard.
And I haven't seen Force yet, but it's got that campiness that I kind of enjoy out of anime and some live action tokusatsu stuff.
Yeah. So
my favorite.
Go ahead.
My favorite Heisei era Kamen Rider is Decade because, the show it verges on being very serious, but then it still has that camp factor. And each of the storylines where they go to the different worlds, it's a way of introducing people to the different riders, even though they're vastly different. Except for Dino. But, to me, Decade was really like the best of the Heisei era. I mean, I like them all, but Decade just appealed to me because he's pink.
Didn't know you were a fan of that color scheme, Jacob.
Pink is my favorite color. I am not ashamed to admit it.
Yeah. Let's see. I seem to recall another. I guess technically Char's Red Zaku can be considered pink-ish.
No, he's more red.
Yeah. Let's see. What's another cool pink character?
Donut.
Donut. Yes.
It's not pink. It's lightish red.
Yes.
You mean pink?
Now that I've seen the entirety of Red versus Blue, I can understand that the context behind that joke. Let's see. Okay. Oh, so I guess moving on, we have I have two Dragon Ball Z related news stories. One was something that I think you, Dylan, brought up in the last episode of DFOS, in which the writer of Dragon Ball Evolution made a public apology for the infamous film that he wrote so many years ago. So yeah, that happened. Didn't know why it took him so long to realize that he wrote a bad movie. But yeah, obviously, it's just another. As he mentioned in his apology, this was another example of him not being a fan of the source material and him just trying to make a quick buck off of, writing something that was currently popular in the moment without realizing what made it popular in the first place.
I.e., Godzilla '98.
Yeah, essentially.
Or Battlefield Earth.
Only in this case, it's like he was hired to write Dragon Ball, but instead he just ended up writing Spider-Man.
Dragon Ball version of Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I can picture that now.
It's an awkward teenager who's constantly getting bullied, and then something happens, and he goes off on a journey and gets the girl and beats up the bullies and fights an evil green dude.
Okay, have you guys seen the animated stuff by Versus Gag? He does the 3D animated fight scenes.
No, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with him.
Okay, I posted a video a long time ago. I don't think anyone ever saw the link, but it was Kamen Rider Black RX versus the Red Ranger.
Oh, wait, I seen that.
Yeah, and then he did Kamen Rider Black versus Darth Vader as a follow-up. Oh my God, his stuff is amazing. But the recent one he did was Captain America versus Iron Man as a Dragon Ball Z fight.
Whoa.
And at the very end of it, Spider-Man pops up, and it's to be continued. So the next fight will be Captain America and Spider-Man in a Dragon Ball Z fight.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll actually get to see Dragon Ball Z Spider-Man.
Nice. Right now I'm looking at the animation of the Red Ranger fighting Black RX, and the movement itself looks very fluid, much more fluid than you would see from other indie 3D animators.
Oh, those videos are just freaking hilarious.
Yeah, I just see the Red Ranger kicking Kamen Rider in the nuts.
Sounds like my kind of fight.
Well, that's cool. He went a little old school by showing stock footage with Kamen Rider whipping out his license-free
lightsaber.
License-free lightsaber.
Lightsaber.
Will there be any nut shots in GXG, Jacob Baker?
No.
Okay, so you're...
See, I don't want it to be a funny thing.
Yeah.
I thought about it very briefly. It's I could add
it's not a
humor to
funny
it.
thing, believe me.
No, if he's going to do a funny thing, he's got to do the Godzilla flying kick thing from Megalon.
No.
It's the only way to counter Gamera's flying spinning attacks.
Except reptile
should have
genitalia are way down in their tail, so...
It's true. You should have Gamera fly away, and Godzilla just rockets up and follows him the way he does in Hedorah, and
Now, do you think will you be taking any notes from the recent Screw Attack Death Battle of Godzilla versus Gamera, Jacob?
No, I specifically went against it because I enjoyed seeing them have them fight, but the fight was so lackluster.
Uh-huh.
And I wanted to make sure that everything about the fight was visually stunning.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I study like fight choreography and suits and stuff like that. It's like, how can you make this work? What can you do to make this give it a bigger visual punch?
Yeah.
So I made sure that everything was a proverbial money shot in the way that this is actually like scripted out.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, there's a couple moments where it's not going to be like as impressive visually, but that's just sort of like how you tell a story in a fight.
Uh-huh.
Because like the basic reaction I expect people to have is it'll start out and be like, okay, yeah, that's cool. Then a couple minutes pass is like, oh, that's really sweet. And then a couple minutes pass is like, they freaking did it. And then a couple minutes pass and it's like, oh, that's funny. And then a couple more minutes pass and he's like, nah, he can't do that. And then the next moment is, oh, holy shit. And then the next moment after that is, oh, holy shit. And then ends with just silence is like, oh my God, this needs to be an actual thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they all light up cigarettes and...
Yeah. It's like, finally, we got this.
Now let's see. Now we'll for this version of for these two versions of God, I'm assuming that this version of Gamera, at least, he's mostly based off his Heisei incarnation. But for Godzilla, will he be like an amalgamation of different Godzillas, like they attempted to do with Screw Attack?
Kind of, sort of.
Certain attributes from certain versions.
Well, yes, I am going to be doing that because I do like the idea of like crossing over different elements just to be as a reference or an homage to the different incarnations. But the thing about the Screw Attack battle that really annoyed me with how they handled it was they were like, any version of Godzilla can do all the things that he's done.
Right.
And it's like, oh, Godzilla was massively tall to begin with. So I actually had to do what they did, study them, figure out what could work, what wouldn't work, and then figure out how they would actually handle each other at the same height on a relatively the same power scale. So I did use the Screw Attack battle as a reference guide, but I'm handling it more faithful to what it actually would be as opposed to what they thought it would be.
All right, cool. So let's see. The other Dragon Ball Z news that I had...
Aurelie is in Super!
Was that?
Said Aurelie is in Super. For all of 10 seconds, but she's back.
Nice. I've sort of fallen behind on Super, but that is good news.
Sorry, who?
Aurelie from Dr. Slump.
Yeah, she's the little android girl Goku kept up with her once when he was a child. She was a playable character in, I know, Tenkaichi 3. I don't remember if she was in Tenkaichi 2 or not.
No, it was only 3.
Only 3. Which is basically just 2 with more characters.
Yeah, I have 2, and I can attest that she was not in 2.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you would have remembered her, believe me. She's very memorable.
Well, I did have Dragon Ball Super news, and there were 2 announcements. One, Future Trunks is coming back for Dragon Ball Super, and apparently he's bringing with him some new villain who goes by the name of Black Goku. So could this be the evil Goku that fans have been making fan fictions of for all these years? Who knows? You have to wait until the next episode of next story arc of Dragon Ball Super.
It's just going to be a black guy.
It's literally Black Goku.
Yeah.
Samuel
like
L.
Dennis Rodman
Jackson
dressed up as
Goku.
Goku. That's what it's going to be.
No, he is like Michael Clark Duncan version of Goku.
This is actually not a terrible idea. Like,
yeah, that's pretty
you say
badass.
that.
Yeah, he
you
is
say
badass.
that.
He was
You say
badass.
that. You say that as a joke, but in my head I'm like, oh, I can get behind that.
Yeah, just imagine that dude as an ass-kicking DBZ character who can go Super Saiyan.
I mean, yeah.
Although I guess his Super Saiyan form would be in more of an afro than it is spiky hair.
Uh-oh.
So you say Afro, and the only thing I can think of is Shinichi Watanabe.
Let's see. So
Well done, Race. I did not see that race joke coming. You have mastered the skills.
I have come a long way since I first started my journey into the world of shock humor.
See,
Indeed.
now you're in Japan, so you can't piss off anybody over there with racial humor.
That's true.
Yeah, blackface is totally okay over there. What are you gonna? I would die in a situation where.
And with the Japanese, that shit's funny to them.
I don't know how to cope with not pissing people off. Like how do you live your life, man?
Well, the thing is, people simply don't understand you if you make such a like. I think I mentioned before in the last episode that like Japanese humor is very based on like their humor is based more on like their comedy is based on physical humor as opposed to like anything that's any sort of like witty humor that involves dialogue and cultural knowledge of.
So they would be huge fans of like Jerry Lewis.
I guess
Yeah,
so, maybe.
they're
You know,
still-
they
still-
love
yeah.
funny voices, so if they hear a funny voice, they'll laugh at it.
They're still in the Three Stooges stage of their comedy
Oh,
development.
victim of circumstances.
The fact that they like funny voices explains so much about the English dubs that they've produced.
Like Godzilla versus the Sea Monster.
Oh God, I watched that last night, and that one guy's voice, I want to strangle him. I just want to strangle him until no more.
I'm so glad I did not grow up watching that dub on VHS.
Would you watch like a Mexican dub?
Let's see. Let's see. What was that dub? Was that dub from AIP or Toho?
Toho's international dub.
Okay, so I guess I must have listened to like the AIP dub on VHS.
Yeah.
The voices. They do not sound like this.
Uh,
They do not sound like they're from an episode of Speed Racer.
it's only that voice too. It's just terrible.
Which is weird because in the AIP print, he sounds fine, but Akira Takarada's character sounds like he did in the other print.
Oh boy. But
What's happening to our planet?
what's happening to our plan?
Still my favorite dub line.
Yeah. Let's see. But yeah, future Trunks, he's coming back, and apparently we're gonna have an evil Goku. How evil can Goku be? Could this be? Who knows? But let's see. Anything
I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
One of the things that I liked about the whole Kaba, son of a bitch, the universe tournament.
6? Oh yeah.
Yeah, was that all of? You had sort of like the Frieza parallel with Frost, but all of the characters, they weren't supposed to be alternate versions of who we already had,
Right.
and that's what I liked the most. Is that it was very diverse. And them trying to bring in like an evil version of this character from this other timeline or world or whatever. It's like that's to me that's just too much pandering. That's just my own personal taste, though.
Okay. Dylan, do you remember that do you remember that those two DBZ videos you shared with me a while ago of like the angry Austrians top 5 muscular moments in Dragon Ball Z?
Yes, and every moment with Android 16 is the most muscular.
Look at him. He could be able to destroy the giant cricket man. He was able
And in just one day, Gohan went from a skinny, scrawny Japanese to a strong Aryan German.
They recommend those videos. Well, I've been subscribed to that channel, Laughing Stock Media, ever since you showed me those videos. And I remember the person behind that channel, he made a video as to why evil Goku would be a bad idea in context to the timeline that we know from Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, where
Right, not just a bad idea as in he would kill everybody.
right, where it's like right. He mentioned how the reason why Goku is as strong as he is now is because he was a good guy who was trained by so many people and went against so many enemies. You know, he was trained by Gohan, he was trained by Master Roshi, he had to train himself to protect the world against Piccolo, and he theorized that an evil Goku probably wouldn't have been able to experience any of that. He wouldn't have been able to experience learning the Kamehameha, or any sort of, he wouldn't receive any training from Kami at the end of Dragon Ball. And even then, despite how strong Goku was, he was still got his ass kicked by Raditz at the beginning of DBZ. So even if we had a Goku who was able to survive to the events of DBZ, he wouldn't be as strong as good Goku and would still be lose to Raditz and the other heroes of the DBZ universe.
Well, and technically speaking, outside of his like personal growth arc, doesn't Bardock technically count as an evil version of Goku?
I guess I don't know. I kind of see him as more of like an anti-hero Goku, where it's like he's someone who has some semblance of a moral compass, and that is his dedication to the Saiyan race and how much he had to fight to preserve the safety of his own race.
They kind of already hinted at the idea of like, look what Goku could have become with Turles. Like, I think that was the whole point of him.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I think that was the whole point of him looking like Goku.
Yeah. Although I did like your explanation for how Goku could be strong in that episode of DFOS when you explained what would happen if Goku and Superman switched places, where Goku...
Yeah, I had to come up with a way for him to become stronger without training, and I was just like, well, if he's in the DC universe, he's going to be fighting super powerful beings all the time, and luckily Saiyans have that little plot device worked in where they get stronger when they fight people.
Right. Apparently, even though that never had an official term, that sort of power-up never had an official term, apparently, according to the DBZ fan base, that process of being stronger after a near-death situation is called Zenkai. And so some DBZ fans, like the guy from Laughingstock Media, refers to it as a Zenkai boost.
Yeah, I've heard of that before. Some members of the DBZ fandom are similar to members of the Star Wars fandom in that they need to explain everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so who knows? Maybe this Black Goku could have benefited from a shitload of convenient Zenkai boosts. But let's see.
It would depend entirely on the circumstances under which he was living his life in the other time, or whatever fucking contrivance he comes from.
Right. Who knows? Maybe this might be like maybe this could be like this Black Goku if he comes from future Trunks' timeline. Maybe he came from he's had a thing like similar to Jason Todd where it's regular Goku. He was just resurrected and just went insane, or maybe he's from another universe like Universe 6 and had a different, like you said, different circumstances that made him evil and powerful.
Would it be interesting? This is something I just came up with on the spot, so this is a terrible fucking idea, excuse me. But
wouldn't it be not so interesting?
Because I always thought, even though future Trunks saved the world, his world from the androids, he's pretty much fucked from that point on.
Yeah.
Because Earth in the DBZ universe is always encountering like new threats, and like he's not going to be able to stop all that shit on his own. So his timeline has got some troubles ahead of it past defeating the androids. Wouldn't it be fucking interesting if they like try to clone Goku so that they have another line of defense, and then that clone is what becomes Black Goku?
That would be interesting. Yeah. I mean, that could work. I mean, we still have Bulma in this continuity, in this timeline.
Yeah, and she's like sciencey and shit.
Yeah, maybe
Okay,
her.
but the how does the alternate timeline fit into the multiverse theory, though? Because I know that there's 12 universes, but the timeline technically counts as another universe.
Maybe they don't count temporal shit as like proper alternate universes, or it could be because like time travel is like strictly forbidden in the DBZ universe. It's illegal.
Right.
Technically, Trunks is a criminal.
What if like if one of those?
It could be that that's the reason, that it like creates another alternate universe that isn't supposed to exist.
Or what if like imagine if episode of Bardock was like official canon, and when he went back to the past and fought what's his face, Lord Chill. Yeah, Chill. That ended up creating another parallel universe, another alternate universe.
That's where GT comes from.
Obviously, multiverse theory in DBZ doesn't work the same way it does in like real life, where it's like every time you make a decision, boom, alternate universe. So who knows? I don't know. Akira Toriyama doesn't care. He doesn't care about it.
He doesn't really write these things. He just comes up with like a basic plot synopsis.
He doesn't care about making sense. He just wants to make entertaining fight scenes, and I totally respect that.
Yeah.
I just want to see him bring together Jocko and Tarble.
That would be interesting. How do you feel about Yo Son Goku and his friends return?
I actually enjoyed it a lot, just because of Tarble. I mean,
Yeah.
the only problem I actually had with it was the fact that Vegeta Vegeta totally got cock-blocked by Goku because Vegeta didn't get to do crap in that fight.
It's true. That's become sort of a running joke, though.
Yes,
Vegeta
I do
always
enjoy
being
that
like-
joke. But
Is Vegeta always being like, "It's my turn, Kakarot"?
Even in Resurrection F.
Even what wasn't there something like that in Battle of Gods as well? I don't remember.
Oh no, it was mostly the Goku show for that film.
well, the Universe 6 tournament,
Hmm.
they actually like allowed Vegeta to handle pretty much all of that tournament for most of it,
Oh, nice.
which is why I love that tournament so much. I mean, the anime fights are just ridiculously short because they tried to handle all the characters in like an episode or an episode and a half.
I heard that was a common complaint.
Yeah, but I mean, even with the fights being so short, we still got like predominantly Vegeta dominating pretty much everyone of this of this other universe.
Mm. Did
One thing I
Piccolo
really
got to do
enjoyed-
anything?
What?
You can go first, Dylan.
Okay. One thing I've really enjoyed about Super so far is that they've done a lot of really great Vegeta stuff.
Yeah, well, they gave him a lot of humor, and that to me, I think, benefits him a lot. Is the humor and how he relates to Bulma now.
Mm-hmm. It like humanizes him.
Yes, it makes him a lot more of a relatable character than he used to be.
I just wish there was one thing that they like took from GT. Maybe that's sacrilege, but there's one thing I wish they had taken from GT, and that is I like me a Vegeta that has a mustache.
Mustache. I don't know. I actually kind of like GT because of I think it was like Geekdom 101. They constantly do, or he constantly does like analysis of Dragon Ball characters and the universes, and he was comparing the GT universe with the Super universe, and he's like what each of these different stories got right and what each one got wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And as he was explaining all the different elements to GT, it actually gave me more of a fondness for that particular series because, well, there's actually a lot of like really cool stuff that developed from that, like the whole thing with the Tuffles and Baby and like his whole purpose and all that, and just the whole concept of the Shadow Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
There was a
that
lot
is-
of really cool stuff there. It wasn't handled right, but there was a lot of really cool stuff there.
Yeah,
That's one of the things about GT is that they did have a lot of really cool ideas that they just totally shot the pooch on later on.
Right.
But or screwed the pooch. That's the expression. Don't know what shot the pooch even means. Anyway,
that's like, I think that's like the equivalent of like taking an idea and then just not like fucking up a bad idea, but it's like fucking it up so bad it's like there's no way we even want to attempt this idea again.
Yeah.
Because that was so horrible what you just did there. We don't want to be reminded of that horrible act you did.
yeah.
Like making a live action DBZ movie.
Oh God, the writer of that movie recently apologized.
Yes.
It was great.
Bad. Let's see. So I guess moving on to the final story we have here, and this is something I'm very glad Jacob is. I'm glad Jacob is a part of this episode, considering it's related to costuming, and being that he is a maker of costumes, I really want to know his opinion on this. And that is, we had the reveal of what the Power Rangers will look like in Saban's Power Ranger film for 2017. So, what do you guys think?
Oh boy, does half the internet hate these suits.
Oh, yeah. Well, I do want to say that it's very interesting how every time I make a Power Ranger related news announcement, a new Power Ranger thing will come out before that episode gets released on YouTube. I talked about the Power Rangers logo, but before that episode could come out, it was already outdated by the Rita Repulsa news. When I made an episode with the Rita Repulsa news, it gets outdated by this thing. So who knows? Before Bill will upload this episode, maybe we'll get concept art for Goldar or something.
That's what
Tomorrow
I'm waiting for, is the Goldar reveal.
We'll talk about this tonight, and then tomorrow they'll be like, "Hey, everybody, here's the Megazord." And they're like, oh, okay.
They'll be like, God damn it, I can never stay on top of news.
or Daijujin, as I like to call him now, because I'm a nerd.
Yes, me too. Anyway, so yeah, what do you guys think of the new Power Ranger costumes?
I like him.
Yeah,
Me too.
I have no problem with them. Yeah, they look like Iron Man, but I sort of expected that
Me
because
too.
it's like the progression of like the things that are like deemed really cool in pop culture, and right now Iron Man is like really, really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
And Iron Man even influenced, it never got made, but they were going to make a Mega Man X remake where he was patterned after Iron Man.
I remember that. And I showed that to Dylan. Remember that, Dylan?
Yeah. The whole thing I don't think people understand is how else were they gonna fucking do it? Like they're not gonna do the spandex. Like the only thing they could possibly do would be to make the suits kind of like what like the new Black Panther suit looks like, maybe.
I think I actually would have
That would
preferred
only
that.
but that would only look good in the black though. When you get that in like pink, it's not gonna look as good, you know?
Or maybe you could have done it like Ant-Man, where it's like it's not so much spandex, but more like armored leather.
Well, the unofficial Power Rangers unofficial, or whatever that was called, the R-rated short the guy did.
Oh yeah. That we had like a brief snippets of the suits, and they were also had a very like leathery look to them.
Yeah, well, they were leathery and they were armor plated, and I felt that he had like the perfect idea there.
Mm-hmm.
And the new Power Rangers designs themselves,
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I kind of like them, although I missed the skirt on the Pink Ranger. That saddens me. But
at least we still have boob armor and high heels for the
yes,
for the
giant metal
females.
boobs.
What I want to know is the Yellow Ranger's morpher that magically gives her a penis, is that still canon? Like, she had the most powerful morpher of all. Like, it was a transgender. Maybe she was secretly transgender, and when she morphs, it, like, fulfills her...
No, you know, if you played the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger video game for the Super Nintendo, it's the same case where, like, all of the Power Rangers have the same Red Ranger sprite. So if you play as like the Pink as Kimberly or Trini,
even Kimberly sprouts a penis in that game. Wonderful.
yes, it's like when as soon as they morph, they're like, oh yeah.
It's made even more hilarious.
Time.
It's made even more hilarious by the fact that the Yellow Jew Ranger's fucking name is Boy.
Boy, yeah.
Yeah. I do want to say that I was honestly expecting so much worse for these costumes. I shared this on Facebook, but I'm not sure if Jacob has seen this. But from that like long delayed, probably most likely never going to come out fan film MMPR, there was like initial concept art that came out of what the Rangers will look like, and they looked like very generic, like like Black Ops leathery ninja suits with like red, only like like you can barely see the color from like they have like maybe like red highlights or blue highlights, but it was mostly primarily black.
Yeah.
They look nothing like. Oh, so you've seen those, Jacob?
Yes, I've been like following a bunch of different Power Rangers fan stuff.
Okay, and yeah, I was honestly like thinking that we were going to get something along the lines as those suits. But yeah, this is, I guess it was like, it's kind of like Shin Godzilla where I was like preparing for like something very drastic. But in this case, I was pleasantly surprised by how much more faithful these costumes turned out to be.
Well, what I find to be truly, truly the funniest thing about this is that, you know, there was the whole like fandom that was like, oh, these are terrible and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Like happens with anything.
Right.
And the designer actually felt he had to explain his choice for the design. Mm-hmm. And he was like, well, I designed this to look like something that was built by an alien because in this version, it's an alien costume. And I read that and I'm like, they're alien costumes to begin with.
Yeah.
Alien costumes.
You can make them look, I guess, like having them be alien costumes, that would give you an excuse to do absolutely anything you want, no matter how goofy it is.
Yeah, I mean, the helmet still looks similar enough. You can let the body style slide.
Mm-hmm.
Although even know that they were alien to begin with. God, what a fucking David, this guy.
Oh, you dirty bastards.
What the question would be, though, like, how are they going to explain the whole dinosaur thing?
Yeah, that's also
my
strange.
question.
Although what's I find very odd is that is that when it comes to the helmets, the Red Ranger looks awesome. It looks like the Red Ranger helmet. But the Yellow and Pink Rangers share the same helmet, and same goes for the Blue and Black Rangers. So I find that very interesting.
It's very odd.
They're probably not.
Can you?
I'm not a fan of them just simply copying and pasting the costumes. Instead they're just changing the outfit. I mean, instead of just changing the color. But yeah, I'm very surprised. Like, why would they do that? Why would they make a unique helmet for the Red Ranger, but not for anyone else?
Well, it's because his looks like a Tyrannosaur head, and the others look like a mastodon, and a tiger, and stuff like that. So maybe by decreasing the whole animal aspect of it, they're trying to make it less appealing to furries.
I think that would actually benefit this the marketing. But anyways, it also kind of reminded me.
The Red Rangers is the only one that really you can tell what the animal is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless you're a Power Ranger fan, you would notice that the Pink Ranger and the Yellow Ranger, they look like the pterodactyl helmet. And for the Black Ranger and Blue Ranger, I don't know if it looks more like Mammoth or it looks more... No, actually, I don't know, kind of looks more like the Triceratops.
Well, they hybridized them because, it's sort of there's elements to the mastodon design, like the tusk shape is clearly visible, but there's also elements of the Triceratops that's also visible in both helmets.
Also, the thing is, I know we joked about this previously, but it's like the whole super feminine-looking armor with the breast armor and the high heels. It's something that's kind of funny. It's a lot of people have criticized that aspect of the female suits.
How else are you going to do form-fitting female armor? You can't fucking do it without showing boobs. I'm sorry, unless you get very flat-chested actresses, like the bitch who got turned down for Mary Jane, and you bring them in. It's not going to work.
Although it's something that a lot of people have started criticizing now, like the idea of using breast armor in fiction is because using breast armor is very impractical, where it's from what articles I've read, it's if you ever try to attack attack chest armor, your weapon would bounce off the chest and move towards the center of the armor. So with so many blows being directed sliding towards the center of the armor, you're going to make a weak point. Whereas if you didn't have breast armor, just made it flat, but just in a more rounded shape overall, that would provide better protection than having armor that would specifically be molded over the breasts.
The thing is, it's fucking Power Rangers,
Yeah.
I get it. It's not the most practical thing in the world, and everybody was like, I am so happy that they didn't give Captain Phasma boobs in Star Wars. And I'm like, yeah, but she's supposed to look like a Stormtrooper. These guys are supposed to look like the Power Rangers. There's plenty of boob in Power Rangers, except for boy.
Maybe not so much because they're kind of Asian, and Asians don't really develop that sort of physical attributes.
That's true. It's just that they're form-fitting outfits is the point I'm trying to make. And what I read, the armor in the new movie is some sort of alien substance that crystallizes over their bodies, and so it's form-fitting. It's supposed to be form-fitting. Everybody.
Can't they but it's impractical because it makes it a weak spot in the chest.
Okay, well, commenting about the practicality of being form-fitting to the female body. What is the practicality of the Pink Ranger even having a skirt in the original series?
Exactly.
There's no practicality at all.
God.
Because she's a girl.
I'm kind of missing the skirt too now that I think about it. And then a badass battle skirt, fucking the Big O.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Although it's but then you got the high heels, and I bet you we're gonna have the same Jurassic World controversy all over again with those fucking high heels.
Oh my god, I can't believe that these people are doing kung fu in high heels. You people should go stop watching this sexist movie and spend your money to watch Ghostbusters.
Oh shit, no. If you want to see true female protagonists, watch the Ghostbusters movie.
Okay, this whole Power Rangers thing is just a fantasy to accentuate the male gaze.
Okay, I'm actually going to go on a bit of a tangent here because of the whole, these women don't look realistic for women in movies or anything.
Yeah.
There is a reason why characters look the way that they do, and it's not because of sex appeal. Okay, think about any fighting video game that has female characters in it.
Yes.
All the female characters are very slender, very thin, they're very athletic built. And the reason why they're built like that is that they're fighters. You can't have a pudgy person going up to a fight and last that long. They need to be actually built for a fight. So getting upset over, oh, she's too skinny, she's too perfectly built. Think about the practicality of the physique that goes into that kind of lifestyle.
Yeah, motherfucker, if you're going to be Batman, you better lift, you know?
Yeah, you got to have the build.
It reminds me of this one article where like this one artist attempted to make more realistic looking fighting female characters, and she did so by digitally adding weight to all these characters, and it's like you kind of missed the whole point there.
Yeah. I
like
actually
they're
saw
fighters.
There's like the Tekken fighters, and it's like
It's
some
like
of them do look better with more weight because I think skinny women are too skinny.
yeah.
But again, it relates to the practicality of what you're doing.
How do you guys think they're going to go tonally for this movie? My ideal would be like try to go for like an Avengers-esque tone because you can't go too serious with fucking Power Rangers.
Yeah, I think so, and they got the writers behind X-Men First Class behind it, and I thought that would be an appropriate tone for the movie.
Oh yeah, that's a good movie.
And also, I did want to mention, I'm so glad that these costumes are as brightly colored as they are. I mean, we got a hint of that with Rita Repulsa, but now it's officially confirmed here. Like, yes, these characters are as like bright, as vivid as possible, as like appropriate for a Power Rangers movie.
Oh, IKEA Rangers.
Jacob, what did you think of Rita Repulsa?
Oh, I cannot stand that design. I mean,
finally a design he doesn't like. Every time I try to get him to like nerd out and like nerd rage over a design, he's like, I like it. But now finally we found it. So what do you hate about it?
Well, the thing is that if it was colored like what she's supposed to be, I could handle it because I get the updating and making it look more armor-plated.
I've seen some Photoshops where they do that, and it looks perfect.
Yeah.
Yes, but I mean, making her bright green, I just can't wrap my mind around that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, her like finger rings and the weird makeup thing they did for her head, I'm fine with that. But I mean, why bright jade green?
If you made two changes, this design would be perfect. Change the coloring to make it the colors that it's supposed to be, and give her the Rita hair. It doesn't have to be as big as the Rita hair. You can do a scaled down version of the Rita hair. I just want the two horns. Maybe give her a little bit of that neck frill thing.
Well,
you know?
I think the only thing that's reminiscent of classic Rita is the neck. Not the neck frill. Sorry, not that frill. But like if you look at old classic Rita, she had like a bunch of necklaces around her. And those are the only things that are still preserved in the new Rita.
Yeah.
It's too far removed for me to actually accept it. That's why I'm waiting to see what they do with Goldar, because he was the main reason why I loved that show back in the 90s.
Right, because you were...
Is that when it stopped recording?
That kind of stuff. I was like 10. So of course I loved it. Wait a minute. What
No. You said Goldar was the only thing you liked about Power Rangers.
No, he said that
he's
was
what
the
got
thing
me
that...
into Power Rangers.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
It was the thing that got him into it. See.
All right. So let's jump in
See,
right
I got
now.
into Power Rangers. I got into Power Rangers later on when it was in space, and the thing, or not in space, Lost Galaxy.
Yeah.
The thing that got me into it was the Magna Defender.
And I jumped on board with like maybe season 2 or season 3, but I quickly got caught up with all the reruns of season 1, which is why I was more attached to season 1, I guess, because I just saw the episodes in like repeatedly on reruns while waiting for seasons 2 and 3.
I caught the show from the beginning.
Yeah, you were lucky for that, to see the magic and remember when it happened.
See, I caught all the Mighty Morphin stuff in like the mid-2000s when they started playing reruns.
Yeah, and I was only 1 year old when Power Rangers first started, so it's like I couldn't I was too young to like grab the concept of entertainment.
Wait, but what year did Power Rangers come out? Was that 91 or 96?
93.
Oh, 93. Wow, I was way off either way.
Yeah.
I would have been 7, I think.
Yeah, it's a perfect age for Power Rangers.
Yeah, that Samurai Squad.
Yeah.
Those two were the only ones because I didn't care for Beetleborgs.
Get
You
your
see,
Beetleborgs.
Beetleborgs, that was my shit right there. Although I tried going back on it, it's like, while I can tolerate Power Rangers, I cannot tolerate Beetleborgs. I'm like, wow, this is shit. Same
What'd you think about that?
with Mask Rider. Same with Mask Rider. I'm like, wow, this is too much for me.
What do you think about those Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and their next mutation?
I grew up liking that before, but looking back on it now, I'm like, wow, it's like, these aren't even the Turtles I know, man.
Okay, with me, the Turtles were weird because I never liked the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles until like a few years ago when I started watching all the movies back to back, and then I watched the episode of Power Rangers in Space that was like connected to Next Mutation. I'm like, Turtles are awesome.
Dude, I have an old VHS of the first TMNT movie. My God, I wore that shit out, man. That was my jam. That was my jam.
You know what?
And then years later, I got a VHS of Secret of the Ooze. I was disappointed.
You know what? I was thinking of having a proper introduction from the technical difficulties, but considering how much fun we had just talking about old Saban shows, I figured let's just keep this in the podcast. So anyways, we are back. Sorry for the weird technical hiccup. I'm not sure how I'm going to edit that audio. Maybe I'll just put some break in between. But
you need one of those title cards that say, "Sorry, we're experiencing technical difficulties," and then you get like the elevator music. The da 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 da.
Yeah.
That could be the introduction of your little Chibi Azul.
Yes, I'll do.
Yeah.
I'll put like a what's it called? Like experiencing technical difficulties, and I'll have like a black and white sheep Draquito Azul in there.
You got to get Jacob to draw a picture of Chibi Azul holding like a giant wrench, like he's trying to fix shit. You know?
Jacob, will you do that?
I will try to if I have the time.
So no.
No, I guess not. In that
No,
case,
I will actually make an effort to draw that out on my break.
You know, it'd be adorable if you were to have a construction helmet.
Yeah, give him a little hat. It's got to have a slit for the horn.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're going to put the flashlight in there as well.
The hat will be like molded so that the horns can fit inside.
Just have like the horns ripping out through the side of the helmet.
Yes, it's even
You got to
more
give him
adorable.
you got to give him the full Bob the Builder treatment, you know.
Yeah, he's just
Go all out. Have a blast. Give him a utility belt with some screwdrivers and shit, you know.
Yeah. But let's see what else. But yeah. Hopefully we can do that, and I'll have like some like weird little like some like 1950s happy tune that you would find in Ren and Stimpy. But in the background. But anyways, talking about the new Mighty Morphin Power Rangers suits, the one thing I want to bring up was now that we know what the Power Rangers look like, what Rita Repulsa looks like, we know what the Rangers themselves look like as actors. Now the big question is, what will the Megazord look like? And do you guys remember when we had a series of concept art that was leaked from the movie?
Yeah, I do remember this. The like Zords and the way they looked, and people were kind of split on them because they were more vehicle looking than I think people expected.
Yeah, and we had more concept art that came out that showed the Ranger, that showed like concept art of Alpha 5, Zordon, Rita, and the Megazord itself. Megazord basically looking like a multicolored movie Optimus Prime fighting some the monster from the Comic-Con Godzilla 2014 trailer.
I don't know if I ever showed it to you, Andres, but there's a picture on DeviantArt that's in my favorites that is like a realistic rendering of the Megazord, and it's what I always want it to look like in a movie. And it probably won't. They'll probably do some like Michael Bay shit to it. Let's see if I can find that picture.
Ever since I saw the Power Rangers came out, I've been looking at DeviantArt for like what artists' interpretations could be for a live-action Megazord, and I've been enjoying a lot of what they look like. And I honestly think that a lot of the stuff you'd find on DeviantArt looks better than the concept art that was leaked for the Megazord. And
all the time. That goes for everything. The only thing I can't say that for is like Godzilla, because some of the Godzilla designs on DeviantArt are odd. Well, to say the least.
This is the concept art that was shown of the Megazord. So yeah, but then again, I'm thinking this might not be what the Megazord will look like, considering how the concept art for Rita looks nothing like what we got with with the green Rita that we have now.
Okay, see this is the piece of DeviantArt that I was referring to. It's just the perfect, like 100% accurate Gypsy Danger version of fucking the Megazord, and I love it.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, checking it out now.
Do you guys,
yeah, that looks good.
Did you guys see like the CGI trailer that came out?
Was it called like Power Rangers Origins or something? But it was like a pilot, not a pilot, but it was like a trailer for a would-be animated Power Rangers show.
Yeah, and it had like the giant cyclopean purple thing, and
yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was like, I think that was like a leaked trailer pitch that was rejected.
I would have actually gone for that. When I saw that, I was actually super hyped.
It looked very Transformers Prime-esque.
The only thing I didn't like was the actual design for the Megazord.
Oh, well, that's what I was talking about. It's like, I like that they kept the color pattern. However, the
it's
face,
the head. The head I didn't like.
Yeah, the head looks nothing like it. Like, you went to the effort of making like something that looks vaguely like the Power Rangers suits. I mean, you went to recreate the suits, but you won't recreate the helmet?
Okay. Because speaking of heads, this Megazord head that you just showed us, Andres.
Yeah,
what the fuck? It doesn't have a face.
That's another piece of concept art. Yeah, and if you notice, the suits themselves, the Power Rangers themselves they kind of look more like the Mysterians than they do Power Rangers. But yeah, I'm assuming that we're not gonna have anything that looks like this. Obviously this stuff is made to look more like what's popular at the time. Like, here's like a concept art for the Tyrannosaurus, which is essentially a red-colored Grimlock, movie Grimlock.
Why he have no face is my question.
It's like, but it's not realistic to have a face with mouth and a nose and stuff, Dylan.
It's not realistic to have
helmets have mouths.
It's not realistic to have T-Rex robots.
Which is one of the reasons why I don't really see this being like a more mature version of Power Rangers, because if they're keeping the name Rita Repulsa, that's a very childish name.
I'm hoping they won't but maybe they'll just call her Rita, and then it won't be but it would still be weird because she's supposed to be a space witch and that's like a normal name. But at least it won't be as cheesy as Rita Repulsa.
Although, what do you think? What do you think is more ridiculous sounding, Rita Repulsa or Rito Revolto?
They're not gonna do him. I hope. I just want the sequel where fucking Ivan Ooze.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we already have that. It's called X-Men Apocalypse, but you know what I mean.
but anyways, now that I got my Skype recorder working again, what were your thoughts on the concept art behind what supposedly is the original concept art behind Rita Repulsa, and in comparison to what we eventually got?
Well, Andres, what I was saying before you informed me that none of it was being recorded was that this is much better than the one that we've got. I like that they incorporated the horn head thing and the neck frill and the little dangly things that dangle from her head. If they just took this concept design, and adjusted the colors to where they were the right colors, it would be the perfect design. It's exactly what I've always wanted a Rita Repulsa movie design to look like. You just take the colors, you just slim her down and make her sexy. That's all you gotta do.
Of course, people would throw a fit because she is sexy and it's molded to her boobs again.
I was like, oh my god.
She's supposed to be a ragged old space witch. Well, maybe they could have done a plot.
You're trying to make these characters appeal to unrealistic body expectations.
You know what they could do?
Why do all women have to look the same? Why do they all have to appear to the male demographic?
I would love it if they'd had like a Mumra the Ever-Living type thing, where you have like classic Rita Repulsa and she like uses magic to make herself all slim and sexy looking.
Mm-hmm. Now, what do you think of the concept art behind Alpha 5 and Zordon?
Okay, the Alpha 5 I really dig because I always hated that bastard. Zordon,
it just looks like Gort.
Yeah,
and Zordon.
That's why I like it. It looks like Gort.
And it looks like what Gort should have looked like in the 2008 version. And Zordon just looks like Dr. Manhattan.
Dr. Manhattan?
Dr. Manhattan in a back-to-tank. Maybe he's the one that the guy is bowing to in the Rogue One trailer.
I guess so. But let's see.
Crossover time.
Oh, did we comment on the that concept art for Red Grimlock?
He looks like something from Zoids.
Yeah, oh my god.
He
Wait,
does look a lot more like Zoids, doesn't he?
Or rather, do you remember that one show? It was like an anime, but where it was like Transformers, but all the Transformers were Dinobots. It was
Beast
like,
Wars.
No. It was like Dinozaurs or something, and they had a toy line, and again, it's like Beast Wars, but with all dinosaur changing robots.
I don't know what this is, but I like the sound of it.
I remember I had like a pink toy. This looks like it, where all the when the dinosaurs turned into robots, they had a very like skeletal look. Oh my god, here it is. Okay, I think.
Wait, I think I had a toy of this. It was like a T-Rex, and it was just like red and silver bones.
Yeah, that's the guy. I found a picture of this guy. Okay, I'm gonna send a picture right now. Yeah, it was Dinozaurs, like dinosaur, but with a Z instead of an S because it was hip
Is this
and
an
cool.
actual show or just a toy line?
No, it was
It
was an actual show. Yeah.
Oh my god, nostalgia! I had this fucking toy. I didn't know what it was from, but I had it, and I would make it fight shit.
yeah, and like, let's see. I'm gonna try to find another dude. I think I found like here's the Triceratops guy. Let's see. Oh, here's the package. Here's the package.
Oh, I vaguely remember this.
Let's see. No, let's see. Trying to find a picture of the packaging. For whatever reason, the packaging will not let me look at it.
No, you may not see our packaging.
It's like, this image is forbidden.
You boy, wait.
Let's see.
Oh my god, this is it. This is the toy I had.
Show me the money. Show me the money. Let's see. Yes, that's the toy. That's Dinosaur. Yeah. Okay, here's like some forum post that shows a bunch of box art. I remember these toys feeling rather cheap in comparison to the Beast Wars toys.
Oh, they were. They broke all the time.
Yeah. Even like the Beast Wars toys, for whatever reason, like the Transmetal Beast Wars toys were made like the kind of plastic they use for like the shiny gold or translucent plastic. A lot of that like broke really easily, or even if you took good care of them, most likely if you try to play with them now or try to transform them now, I guarantee they're going to break because the type of translucent plastic or shiny gold brownish plastic that they used during the mid-90s was not made for this.
I don't know. I've actually dug some out of my old storage area the other day, and it's still like folded out and everything.
Like, you know, when
Of course, it might
when
just
you
be
get
how I
those,
stored
like,
it too.
You know when you get like shitty toys from like a dollar store in the middle of a desert, and like you play with it for 2 seconds and it breaks. That's what I remember the experience being like when I had this toy.
What reminded me is like I had this Voltron toy. It was like a Dino Voltron toy, and this was like official like part of the toy line for that CGI Voltron show, Voltron: The Third Dimension. And I guess the show was canceled before they incorporated Dino Voltron into the show. But I remember it was the chrome paint that was painted on each of the dinosaurs chipped off like the moment I started playing with those toys.
Oh, this was actually an anime, and in Japan it's called Dino Zone. I have learned things.
Let's see.
Now take this knowledge and do something with it. I will bore my friends.
Let's see.
Perfect.
This is a
I'm just kidding. I haven't got any friends.
Aww. This is a picture of the Dino Voltron. I'm not sure if any of you saw it back in the 90s.
No, man,
Doesn't
never.
look familiar.
They should do a thing with Voltron like they do with Power Rangers, like just every so often have him be made out of different animals. Because the whole Just Tigers thing, come on, man.
Well, that's what they were trying to do with Voltron: The Third Dimension, where I think they were planning on having Voltron like change forms every time he travels to a new dimension or to a new planet, so that the new Voltron body would be able to adapt to that planet's environment.
So he goes to like one universe and like he becomes a xenomorph and like
I guess so. Well, I guess even in the original Voltron, there was Vehicle Voltron, which was simply another anime that had nothing to do with Voltron, and they just pretended it was in the same continuity.
I don't you love when they do that?
Yeah. If it worked for if it worked for Robotech, then it'll certainly work for Voltron.
Like when they say, "Hey, we're just gonna cut White Ranger from Die Ranger into Jew Ranger, and we're gonna make that the next season of Power Rangers." When they do shit like that, it's just great.
Yeah. It's like, nothing can go wrong here. Yeah.
VR Troopers would beg to differ.
What was that, like 2 or 3 shows?
Yeah, it was Metalder, Space Sheriff, Galavon, or whatever that was called, and...
They brought Gavon in there? He's like the original metal hero?
Yeah.
I don't... Gavin?
You guys, I just got the perfect idea. We'll make a Gamera movie entirely out of stock footage. What can go wrong?
Brilliant!
And to hook the ladies, we'll add a Star Destroyer.
I got something even better. To make sure we get more of the male audience, because it panders too much to kids, let's get, say, 3 women... No, 4. One of them is going to be evil, though. And put them in tight outfits and make them fight.
Yeah, and they transform like Wonder Woman.
Yes!
Yes!
I can't see how this can possibly go wrong. So, you know what? Let's just work on this right now. So, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, since we have finished everything that we wanted to talk about, and we are about to go write this spectacular Gamera reboot, would you guys would you guys have anything you'd like to pimp out before we go write this masterpiece?
I can't wait to see how the stock footage from 90s Gamera meshes with the stock footage of fucking We're On.
But anyways, is there anything you guys want to pimp out before we end things?
No.
Nah.
And I guess for you,
I can't
Jacob,
think of anything. I'm too tired to think of things.
Jacob pimped all his shit at the beginning.
Right.
Yeah.
You did talk about, or not talked about, but you did recently started a new series of videos about costume making.
Yes, for those of you who are interested in like how to build your own kaiju costumes and make it my way with super intricate detail and just making the suit durable and all that.
If you want
check out my channel.
If you want it to look, good.
Okay, yes, if you want your costume to look above the average, then check out my channel to watch the Kaiju DIY. I try to put them out somewhat regularly. I've been a bit too busy to put out videos recently, but in the near future, hopefully I'll get back into the flow of things and make some more, because there's a lot of stuff I want to cover. But on the channel right now, I show like as intricate as I could of like how I built the Godzilla scales, the Varan bump texture, and then there's even a video talking about all the different materials and even where to find them. So, yes, if you guys are interested in doing cosplay, please check my stuff out, because I would love to pass my knowledge on to as many people as possible.
Excellent. And didn't you have like a podcast in the works?
I had several podcasts. One of them on another channel with my buddy Laskin Zero. Holy crap, I forgot the name of it. Give me a second.
That was the one where you had a little like bit of animation in it, right?
Yeah, well, the teaser for it I animated. I don't have the kind of time to actually animate a full podcast.
You could just make like do like what I plan to do with Chibi Draco Azul and just have like a series of stock poses that you can just switch around.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna break it down to. But Expletive Delete, that is the channel title. I think we're still like trying to hammer out a name for the podcast itself. I have like hours of audio.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to get around to actually putting it out there for that channel.
Cool.
So
if you need help editing the audio, I can certainly help with that.
I kind of want to do this myself, because there are certain things that we say that we really don't want anyone else to hear. I'm going to have to snip out.
Right. It's like this fucking guy, Andres, he's constantly asking me to do shit, and every time I feel like shooting myself for this fucking Mexican here.
Believe it or not, there have been times like that on this show where usually me will say something and then we're like, oh, we got to cut that out later.
Yes, that's
that's
true.
like half of what Alaskan Zero may do, because you guys get like this version of me.
Yeah.
Where I'm more refined and more reserved.
More happy-go-lucky.
Yes, with Expletive Delete, I actually rant and just discuss things that really shouldn't be discussed.
Yeah, you know what grinds my gears?
Yeah, that kind of thing.
women voting.
Oh God, that's right when the country went down the crapper. I tell you.
All right, so hopefully when you have free time, we'll be seeing that as well in the future, along with future episodes of DIY suit making. And for you, David, do you have anything in the works?
I want to say that I may go back to reviewing movies, but with an unscripted format.
Right.
But then again, I have a history of not going forward with my plans.
You had a history of being a lazy piece of shit.
I feel
Basically being an American, a proud American.
All right. Well, I guess for my
that.
channel...
Yeah, I could have made a video, but I just thought I'd sit on my porch.
Oh, wait, you did make videos before, Dylan. You made a Star Wars video recently.
Oh, that's right, I did do that recently. So that's the thing. You can go watch that.
And I guess for me...
So when should we expect the next Kaiju Spotlight?
It's a good video from a certain point of view. I hope to do the next Kaiju Spotlight at some point in the future. The problem is, I don't know when the fuck I'm going to do it or what I'm going to do it on.
Right.
All right.
So,
And I guess for my channel, I have my review that I did with my friend Simon, who I met here in Japan. It's a review that an hour-long review we made about Captain America: Civil War, and we also went on tangents talking about our experience watching the film in a Japanese theater, as well as giving a little sneak peek into the lives, into our new lives here in Japan, and what it's been like for us as Western foreigners living in this country. So definitely check it out. You'll get yourself a cool, an entertaining review, as well as some interesting tidbits as to what my daily life has been since I moved here like 2.5 months ago. So anyways, thank you very much for joining us on another episode of the Sons of Serizawa podcast, and thank you so very much, Jacob, for being on this show again after this long break.
Oh, thank you for having me back on the show. I'm always available for the podcast if ever you guys should feel the need to converse with my sort of insanity again.
That is great. That is great news to hear, because you are
good because certain people around here, real Davids, they don't show up.
Right.
They don't show up often, and then.
And when the world,
I'll just replace David on the SOS. And...
when the podcast needs it's a backup podcaster, we can always rely on the good old atomic stick figure here. So, anyways, that has been our show for this evening, or morning, or night, or whatever time you decide to watch this episode. And until next time, everybody, take care, and we'll see you all in the future. So I've been Andres Perez, aka Kaiju Noir.
And I am David of the Planet of the Davids.
I have nothing better to follow that up with. I'm Super DM64.
And I'm Jacob Baker, a.k.a. Atomic Stick Figure.
And until next time, everybody, take care.
Shwatch!
Shwatch!
This might have well been an episode of Shoe Watch.
It's more
It's Andres Andreas Civil War, but fans will say, nah, it should have been SOS Civil War.